And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here the last day of group stages. It is VGJ.Storm going up against Team Serenity. One of these teams has secured the upper bracket, but I'm sure they want first seed in VGJ.Storm. But Team Serenity, they still got a shot at the upper bracket. They also have a shot of possibly dropping pretty far down, and who knows what could happen. I'm joined by Kyle, BSJ. What is good, fellas?
It's always interesting to see these last days of the group stages where one team, like you said, already secured their spot, while the other team could have some quite varying results in the terms of their position, their final position after the group stage. And I feel like we've seen there's these teams that are clearly above the rest, but there's no one that's clearly below everyone else.
Yeah.
And that's kind of interesting. I think this is the first year where there hasn't really been that one team that's 0-12, just clearly getting eliminated.
Yeah, it looked like maybe Winstrike was that team. Then they had like an amazing 2-0 yesterday. If they 2-0 again, I mean, no, they just need to win. We're not in the Winstrike game, but just so people know, Group A, I don't want to talk about Group B, even though that's what we're casting. Group A, it's simple as this. If Winstrike wins 2, IG's eliminated. If they win 1 game, there's a tiebreaker between IG and Winstrike.
You know we love tiebreakers.
Yes. If you want to know about Group B, you need to go somewhere else and learn, because that is quite... Only VGJ.Storm is secured anywhere, and that's not even first seed. It's just they're guaranteed upper bracket, which is nuts.
There's 3 teams at 5 and 7, and there's one in Optics at 4 and 8, and Team Serenity is one of those teams at 5 and 7. And with most of these teams having 2 series to play today, that's like so much volatility can happen before we see the end of these series today.
Yeah, because Optic has an advantage in that they did play VGJ already. Serenity obviously,
and they won a game versus
them. They did. And Serenity, were they to lose this set, would then be still the win ahead of Optic, but Optic would have that extra series to try and make up against one of the weaker teams, Pain and VG. So a lot of scenarios that could play out at the end of this group stage, and I don't want to say it's must win for Serenity, but you certainly breathe a lot easier if you can take a game off.
Even just one, right? You get this first win, you go into game 2, and you're loosened up, right? So like you're like, phew, we staved off, like we're 2 games above Optic now, no matter what. When you play looser, you play better, right? You don't play good tense. Maybe some people do.
Yeah,
I don't.
I mean, it's all about optimum level of arousal. If you're too hyped, amped, you can get nervous.
Yeah.
You get anxious. You make decisions rashly.
That you shouldn't.
Exactly. And if you don't have any fire in you, then you're not as focused. It's the same as needing a little caffeine before we come out on the cast. But, thankfully this isn't 6 Monster Grant.
Yeah.
It's just the 1, because that would be too much.
Yep. And guess what?
Wait, I haven't seen that hero ever, because it's just always banned.
Have we? I don't think we've
casted
Enchant. I know it's been
No,
in
we've casted the one game where they tri-laned it.
Oh, yeah. That was...
EG came back, or like S4 had massive impact in the game despite...
He just kept throwing impetuses with little farming.
Impetai is the scientific term.
Impetai.
Yes. And I like Enchantress with something such as Shaker, I'm just mentioning off the top of my head, that sits behind it and protects it in the laning stage. But also because these heroes like that don't traditionally get punished as hard for being weaker laners in terms of like trading, because Enchantress just does that so well. Her only problem on Enchantress is getting killed, so we have to look for them to gear that up.
Isn't that every hero's problem?
No, because certain heroes, like, you can just out-trade them, harass them, bully them, but if you're not killing Enchantress, she's almost always winning the lane.
Yep. And
you said that last time, and that's why they tri-laned it, and they killed S4 like 6 times in one laning stage.
It's strange, like, this first pick Tiny, man, I see it so often.
You're not a fan.
I mean, look, if anyone would be a fan of first pick Tiny, like, it's me.
Yeah.
But
that's a complexity staple.
It's like it was the hero whenever viable. Like, if it was not banned, we would pick it. And it's the same level of power, it appears, but then win rate, it's still like hovering around 30%. And it just doesn't feel good. I feel like, we saw Sumail lose on it twice yesterday, but that was from the mid-roll both games. Yeah. Maybe the 3 or 4 Tiny is more effective. I'd be interested to see what the win rate changes as like that 1-2 core versus the more support-oriented role.
And yeah, that's what you talk about. Middle, I mean, Sumail didn't have bad games. We didn't talk about him much during those games, but like positive score, did stuff. But Tiny, just at a certain point, you stun toss combo, double hit with Echo Saber. What do you do? Nothing after that.
Yep.
So coming from a support player's perspective here, Kyle, I don't understand the Undying pick because we've seen it. I feel like it's either to help protect this like range core in lane that you can kind of frontline for, or it's to help shut down a strength core on the opponent team.
Well, not just that. You're trying to win team fights, right? And Phoenix is like, talking with Fly, even all the way back at TI5, he saw Phoenix as an Undying counter because you can egg on top of the tombstone.
Yeah.
And as long as the egg is protected, like, you can kill the tomb. You have a bigger ball, like it's like the deadly spire or like literally the sun. Yeah, exactly. You get a supernova. I mean, come on.
And thank God for, I'm sure Grandoff, if you were here,
yes.
if Analyst Cranking Tape would step down, that now the Phoenix Sun is the sun. Like, it actually makes it daytime.
Which is so cool.
Yeah,
I love
that was such a random but hilarious change.
Okay, I think we've talked about this before. Let's see if you remember. If we're not going to see it, even though the team has picked Night Stalker. I don't know why they did, but Phoenix ultis, Night Stalker ultis, what's in charge?
Phoenix takes priority.
Correct.
Yes.
And that's
because the darkness cannot keep out the light.
It cannot, and this man is light. I just want to see. We've already got a lot of heals. We talk about sustain a lot in games. You've got Enchantress, Phoenix on one team, pardon me, and Undying on the other. It just seems like you just want to stay in lane, even in team fights as well. We saw SVG on Undying the other day, just soul rip after soul rip. You can't kill people.
I think this is 3 games in a row that I've seen a Phoenix picked. Like, not the 3 games in a row, but every game there is a Phoenix picked. Clinks Weaver were the 2 bans in the second round. And I think these teams are telling us, Phoenix has a problem with these elusive heroes that can attack the egg because of either the attack speed from Strafe or the Geminate attack from Weaver. And Phoenix threatens so many cores in the game, but heroes like that kind of turn the threat onto him or her or it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think you got to be a little concerned about Huskar if you're Team VGJ. It's the one thing I'd be looking at right now, especially since Serenity is a like fourth, fifth combo. I think especially since you consider they're in a must-win position, whereas Storm, maybe is a little complacent. I'd be concerned about being cheesed. Bear in mind, Storm does not have the guaranteed 1 seed, so they still need to win, and they play VP later today.
Team Serenity.
And the 1 seed gets to choose their opponent going into the main event.
Out of 3-4 of the opposite side, or opposite group, rather.
And that's a pretty big, because it could be some, like,
TNC
like newbie, and, probably, I'm sure VGJ.Storm in the back of their heads, like, maybe they're not ahead of themselves, but I'm sure a lot of these teams are like, we know we do better against these teams, and they already know that. It's such a big advantage.
Especially when you consider that it could be a choice between LGD and OG.
5 seconds remaining.
I feel like even though OG has shown that
they've been looking good,
they've also been heavily reliant on this first 2 Chen and Furion, and LGD is probably just of a higher pedigree at the very least, even if their caliber is
a good way to put
superior.
it. Ogre. This is a hero we've been seeing a little bit more, mostly from VGJ.Storm, actually. It seems like SVG loves just playing this big, bulky guy in the offlane with his other core, and it's good versus Tombstone, right? Because it can almost make anyone a Tombstone hitter at that point, right?
I really like with Enchantress as well, because your main source of damage output is just the pure damage of your ult.
Yeah.
So it's based around the attack speed and your distance. That's it. There's no, like, damage increase isn't necessary as much as IAS and the distance. So
just keep throwing them as quick as you can.
Ogre is like the best form of damage amp, so it fits.
There's the Dark Willow we've seen. Terrorize and Bedlam. When you have a hero who has 2 of the most powerful ultis in the game, you get 2 amazing ultis, a team fight control and a solo kill ulti. No other hero really gives you that, right?
No, you get an extra spell.
Yeah. The thing I love about this Ogre pick is I mentioned that Enchantress just needs this bodyguard in the laning stage, and so not only does it amp her up later, but it gives her that ability. A lot of Ogres have actually been going stun level 1, which is a little odd if you've watched Dota over the last few years, but the thing I like about it here is that is more of a protection role. And a hero like Willow, she isn't threatened by anything we see so far on VGJ.Storm. We've been seeing a lot of Nyxes and stuff like that get picked in response to this Willow, offering that immediate lockdown, especially from the Invis to catch her off guard. Because if Willow gets her Shadow Realm off, she's one of the most obnoxious heroes to try to bring down. 5-second duration, 12-second cooldown. And I think that having that ability to supply so much information for your team from the support role and the team fight It's just so much in one hero that I hope they look to shut down.
And we know this pick, know it well. VGJ.Storm running their trademarked Mirana, and I think it's excellent in this situation. You got the setup stun of the Ogre, the leap attack speed's excellent for Undying, and I think it's just, again, one of the best cores in Dota right now. And one thing I love about the way they draft, that can be Rezo's hero, could be Awara's hero, so their final core is completely open, and they get to see the entire Serenity draft.
So, have we seen any Dark Willow cores at this tournament? I know in the pubs leading up to it, we saw some people play, but I don't think we've seen Dark Willow core this tournament.
I don't
think so. VGJ.Storm.
Well, pretty quick pick. It's going to be a Wind Ranger, a hero that's often forgotten, but seldom picked.
Most likely a core Wind Ranger, and the one reason I don't love it here is because you can just get Wind Run purged by the Enchantress.
Yeah.
The enchant.
Use purge it off.
Yeah, it is a dispel, and it immediately just removes it. So usually you like Wind Ranger against heroes that purely rely on right clicking for damage. But can she focus fire the egg?
No.
You cannot, yeah, I remember that.
You can't focus fire like hero unit structures.
Okay, so like the Tombstone?
Tombstone and egg, you can't.
Yeah, then that pick seems a little odd to me, but it does give them the reach and burst to bring these heroes down before they cast their defensive spells, and also gives them a way to kill the Enchantress through her passive.
I'm just not a fan of Wind Ranger is not what you think when you're going for sustained damage. When you have an Undying and a Willow, like, you're trying to buy time for long fights. You already have Tiny as like your burst initiator. I feel like they would have preferred having something that offered more team fight.
Yeah.
I just haven't seen Wind Ranger with much success at all at this tournament. And I look at the team fight for Serenity, and I just think, like, well, if the Tombstone dies, what do they got?
Yeah,
like,
they need some late game security here, I believe, on the side of Team Serenity. Like, Tiny and Wind Ranger are very heavily mid-game focused heroes.
10 seconds.
Not even mid-game. I'd say they're laning phase into like early mid. Once you hit like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
5 seconds remaining.
Or even at net worth, you're in trouble, especially against the cores and the last pick potential of
very momentum based.
And we see VGJ.Storm and EG draft very similarly. And yesterday we saw Liquid just completely dismantle. Now you go with the PA, so you're. I mean, what are they looking for here? Is this mid-game team fight? It doesn't look. They don't have a good late-game team, right?
It just feels wonky. There's no real synergy within the draft. Like, there's no setup for like Willow. PA doesn't have any damage amplification, and when you see PA, usually it's with a Magnus, maybe an AA for the laning
help
phase.
Enable her.
Yeah, but it's just PA. Yeah, you're good against Enchantress, but you're such a weak laner.
They just want to run it, right?
You lose the lane.
Yeah,
100%. And the reason why I was confused by this is you pick PA because you're saying, okay, we're going to lose the lane, but then we will have a hero that kills Enchantress later, but they already have the Wind Ranger. So that's why I feel it feels a bit off to me, is if you already have the way to deal with Enchantress past the laning stage, then try to deal as best you can in the laning stage, but instead, PA's the hero that does the opposite. So I'll have to see how that pans out. I do overall like... Just VGJ.Storm's draft feels very well-rounded. There seems to be a game plan of farm up the TA while the Mirana and Enchantress put lane pressure, survivably so. Like, they're just safe heroes. They're hard to gank. I think this game boils down to pretty much the ability of the Wind Ranger. Is that a...
It's an offlane Tiny.
Offlane Tiny, mid Wind Ranger. I feel like it's the momentum of the Wind Ranger to get a decent start and then gank the 2 side lane cores of VGJ. Because I feel like that's their only way to enable this PA back into the game, as well as give a little bit of a bolster to the Tiny's pace.
Yep. Luckily, even when PA is losing her lane, right, she will get farm from just spamming daggers, so it's not like you fall too far behind, right? Or do you?
I think it depends. I'm just frightened of the lane potential that Storm's got. Like, I just think their lanes are so strong. You have an Ogre Mirana most likely in the top lane, I want to say. I feel like they might just bring the Phoenix down with the Enchantress. Like, you do too much damage to PA. He's got, like, it's like a 500 health hero. If you take a couple Fire Spirits, like, that's 2 or 3 tangos worth of damage, and you just don't have the health pool to sustain through that, especially considering that you don't really want to try lane, but you could, but then you have a Tiny top against 2 Ogre Mirana. Like,
with 0 armor.
Yeah, that's
what about
not okay.
What about Tiny safe lane, tri lane top? Or bottom?
Tri lane...
Just like Tiny does okay against
Enchantress. You want a tri
Enchantress.
lane aggressive?
I'm saying like I'm not saying to do it because you want to put 3 heroes bottom, but because you don't want to put Tiny solo bottom. So you put, like, Tiny does okay against Enchantress. Enchantress doesn't shut you down for the first couple levels. So it's something we just saw like the opposite of. I don't know. I'm just thinking of what they can do to get creative in their lanes. I don't think standard 2-1-2 will work very well for Team Serenity this game. But it looks like they're gearing up. They are putting the PA bottom to dodge. So maybe they'll end up rotating into a tri-lane, but I do like the idea that they put the Tiny against Enchantress, because Tiny doesn't beat Enchantress, but he doesn't lose miserably.
But they also need the Undying with the PA.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't lane this hero with just a Willow, because while Willow's like, it's a decent laner, you're actually very bad if you aren't able to play aggressively. Like, your whole hero's kit revolves around being able to trade and play offensively. If you're forced to you just have no synergy with the PA. Like, when you're trying to, like, I guess, harass them with Shadow Realm and Dagger spam, but that's just not, it's not real.
When you have these fragile, either just weak core melee cores or range cores in the laning stage, take note of what SVG and I always mess up these names, XCJ on Serenity. These two players have tons of regen and a stout shield. This is such a transition from like last year's meta and what we've seen in the past of like Orb of Venoms or Wind Laces, like, or Boots. You're not trying to, you don't care about your mobility. You just want to trade, and you're serving as this meat shield body that's supposed to absorb damage. The arrow lands, hits the PA. Will he secure the rune? Right-click battle goes to resolution, and that looks like that's going to just be a 2-for-2 on the runes anyways.
PA gonna have to probably eat about 2 tangles here. Like you said, he has the regen, but you're gonna run out real quick if an ogre's just right-clicking you the whole time, right?
This is like an impossible lane. And to BSJ's point about shields, it's more about playing into creep waves than anything else, because you take next to nothing from them, especially if you're like an 8 armor ogre. And I feel like even though there is an Undying, you're still gonna give your core the ability to, for the most part, 1v1. And I think Mirana versus PA is gonna favor Mirana every time, especially in the safe lane.
Yep, and we see a dual lane coming out from Serenity here. It looks like Dark Willow's gonna leave, tries to secure a little bit of CS for ZYD, but 2-1 versus 2-0. So how does this lane go in the mid? Is it just TA is gonna farm no matter what, or can Wind Ranger do anything special?
These side blades like he just did, that's very TA favored, but Wind Ranger should have the edge in the first initial waves, but Yuar's done a great job so far, especially considering he's like, it's like, oh my god.
It feels like he's lining up for that, right?
Yeah.
That looked a little bit awkward. And yeah, he's gonna have to use an early fight. He does get the range creep deny, which is nice.
That was
a lot of
That's how you lose the lane if you're a Wind Ranger. You want to play aggressively so that can't happen.
Yep, and then elsewhere you talked about, Kyle, the Phoenix Enchantress. Can they die up here?
Probably not. I feel like it's, you got potential to, but they should out CS and out harass as this lane wears on. Level 3 Phoenix, I mean, it's far too much damage, and one of the few abilities that'll go through Willow's Shadow Realm as well. So.
Yep. And now, BSJ, you were talking about this PA. If you were playing PA in this situation, how do you play it? Because he's going to get sorped and healed, but he is going to get arrowed. He doesn't have any points in evasion. This is going to be a first blood. SVG actually gets it. And now, this is looking rough.
I've only played her once this patch because it just feels like no matter what you do, people know she's only good against one hero. She only has limited single target damage early on in the game, so in this dual lane meta, they just make sure they're dual laning you, and she just never has the start that you envision having on any core. And I've never really seen PA as a recovery hero. She recovers pretty well against Enchantress in terms of like she offers enough damage to bring her down in the mid game, but I just never feel comfortable, especially like later on, picking my carry and knowing it's just not going to have the best laning stage. But so far, bottom's not going too poorly. Like, he is out CSing the Mirana, and I think it is a great move to not have the PA top against the Enchantress, because that lane is a complete nightmare. So at least you're going to have a Tiny who is serving as your off-lane Tiny, even though he is in the safe lane. And we ourselves have mentioned that we like that a lot more in the game plan.
You need your initiator and your tempo controller to have a good start. The PA being ahead in this game doesn't do anything for you. You need the Tiny to do what he can to take over.
Tiny still has 9 CS, so it's not too bad.
Oh, and this is going to be a stun into an arrow. They know the Undying has no mana or anything, and this is just got a good initiation. Resolution will get that kill. And now top lane, you see the glyph to aggressively play top. And VGJ.Storm, they're rolling right now. Is there... like we've seen VGJ.Storm and EG play very similarly. What did he just get a suicide? Like, what did Liquid do so good to punish these? You knew these lanes were coming, right? Like, how could Serenity punish them better? Is it just at the pick phase?
I feel like there isn't really a way to lane differently. This is, I would say, optimal for them, but they drafted in a manner that I don't see the synergy. None of their heroes really complement one another. It's just like they drafted for what they all personally wanted to play. Like, PA does not seem to really fit. They didn't draft anything that really deals with egg, like in this entire game.
Yeah.
SVG is just gonna go off.
And that's a first round Phoenix.
Yeah, and that's one hero. We see Silencer being first picked mainly to deny this hero. Its power level and damage output is insane.
Ooh, he goes for the arrow if he was uphill, but ZYD will just steal the Arcane Rune, which he needed. He has a bottle, so we'll give him some extra regen. And you see how important runes are, right? For a while there in the mid lane, no one cared about runes. And now it's back to, you get a double damage, an arcane, or a haste, all of a sudden, the game changes.
It's like people remembered what Dota was.
Yeah.
You know, like that was how it worked. Some Zeus bottles a regen, he just crushes the lane now. We've seen time and time again, not just the regen rune, but Arcane specifically being one of the strongest, if not the strongest in the game.
You see XCJ just bullying Rezo, meanwhile SVG just bullying the PA on this side. And top lane looks like there's going to be a little bit of diving. Fire Spirit damage so strong, but look who's going to get trapped. It's MSS. He will soar away. Snake King just right-click, and oh, the rune won't get picked up. He didn't want to get comboed. Tiny, he's just going to kind of chase. Did have a bottle, so even more regen for him, but...
Tiny is getting good levels up here, and
oh, bottom. Yep, there goes the PA, and now gonna try to chase the Mirana. Decay won't be enough. Tower hits will hit XCJ. SVG has 4 stick charges and a mango. He's gonna toss out the stun. Arrow is going to miss. I believe SVG, he might get this with 2 more auto attacks, but the Decay gives him some more HP. Rezo is back. Will it be enough? It will. Killing spree for SVG. Rezo, he's just gonna get out of there, and right now, it's looking good. Ooh. Tiny, he's going to TV middle because they're diving. Will ZYD die? He sure does. And now, uh-oh, it's a 3-on-1 gank. Is Yawar going to get a double kill out of this? It doesn't look like it. Nice use of the bottle, but he does get the double kill, and he gets the experience for that as well.
That punish, like, there's no one top now.
And it's just, as you said.
3 Enchantress with the catapult taking over.
So that's double catapult wave, as you said. Well, I mean, it just feels like the lanes are just straight up crumbling for Serenity right now.
This is the way Storm plays. They draft openly, but then their lanes are killer. That's just how it goes. And you didn't address the Phoenix or the Enchantress, it feels like, outside of this PA pick.
Which are both their first picks, right?
Yeah.
So bottom lane, it's going to be SVG. He's probably pretty happy. Boots, Winlay, Stout Chill, he's pretty farmed for himself. And he's going to throw that deep ward down. They have 2 deep wards, by the way. One by the shrine and one behind the tower. It is going to be a counter. But SVG won't get spotted.
All part of the plan. That secures the ward on the shrine.
It is nice, all right. At least you get your middle Wind Ranger ends up getting the ward, and now it's going to be top just...
That's all the Tiny rotation. Like, that's why we don't see that sort of play very often, because, yeah, you end up getting the kill on TA, but, I mean, you trade your life for it. But it leaves Enchantress with this Bassy, Treads, Blightstone build, optimal tower DPS, and a free catapult.
Uh-oh, but Snake King now going to take a decent chunk of damage, but once you get the heal off, can you get the kills? The burst enough. He's going to get rooted down. He's just getting healed up. They do get it with the last right click of the Tiny.
Well, he walked in to the Tiny a little bit.
Yep, he definitely overestimated how quickly you get healed by your spirits. In bottom, just a lot of harass going. That has to feel bad, right? You draft an Undying. He's supposed to be like a lane winner, right? You just run at them. You can trade all day long. And when you're losing this bottom lane, Rezo will get harassed, but SVG on the backside, he'll help his teammate out, even denying as he goes. But middle, PYW doesn't have Shadow Realm currently. MSS going to try to slow him down for Yawar. Will they be able to get it? The root will hit on one. Oh, Phoenix has to be careful he doesn't get rooted or else he would die. Surprisingly, he won't. Now the Chicken's going to be flying up with just a ward. And it looks like PYW get away. And oh, Yawar is just going to run into the root. Won't run into this one, I don't think. PYW kills MSS on the backside. And well, MSS, he forgot about the roots. He just kind of ran into one. He's like, oh, I'm dead. And a nice kill there for Serenity, but...
And it's...
Yeah, go on, sorry.
It's not the best TA game, but at the same time, it's not a bad one. And when you get this far ahead, there really isn't anything that Serenity can do to deal with it. Like, what's the kill threat on him as this game progresses?
Oh my. His SVG, he has Sorp. He needs to stay by the creep so he gets more heal. He just blink strikes away instead. Now he's going to TP out, but look who's on the other side. It's going to be Rezo, close to a double kill. But the action doesn't stop. We actually hear middle. It's going to be a Shackle. ZYD getting run down, has Wind Run. It's only level 1 though. Oh, gets an eye on the range creep. And he's 49-18 versus 30 and 4. And it's almost a 3-level discrepancy middle now.
Noir is probably my only question mark still.
Oh, top lane. This should be a kill on Snaking, but no, look at the heal just from himself. 1 plus that, they burst down PYW Snaking. They like running into these roots, but he won't die.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Noir now just body a lot of mid players, but I've yet to see him take on who I'd say are like any of the top 3. And he'll take on no one in Series 3 today. It'll be interesting to see how he fares.
That's a must watch for sure today.
Yeah. That'll be fun.
So Serenity, how do they go about getting back into the game, BSJ? They have a PA who's very good. I wouldn't say late game, right? He's like a mid-game hero, right? You get like just 2 items and just run around the map. Is that what they do?
I mean, you're going to just have to stop the bleeding by actually counterplaying these kills and punishing VGJ for playing as aggressive as they are. But to be honest, I don't know exactly how they do that. I mentioned in the draft that I was confused with the Wind Ranger PA because I felt like both heroes are this, not necessarily lane crushing or anything like that, but they recover and they by killing people. And if you have all your heroes aren't meant to win lanes, but up top, like this is what happens when you lose your lanes. Is you're just getting chased all over the place. Your resources are spread too thin. Your Tiny's just getting dove top.
Is that enough?
He's dead.
SVG will die, but he did his job. He ends up getting the rune. And did they get every single rune on Radiant side? I believe so. So that's 4 runes.
It's like yeah, they kill SVG bottom, but they're having to invest so much just to get contesting at the bounty runes. And so meanwhile, your Enchantress or your Tiny's just dying to an Enchantress solo. And the problem with this Enchantress Phoenix, and the problem I saw in the draft when I saw the Undying pick, was when you get presented with something that has to be addressed in the draft, if you don't address it immediately, you're going to be playing catch-up for like the rest of the draft. And they see this Enchantress Phoenix lane, and teams in the past have either picked a hero that can be solo against it past like 4 or 5 minutes, like a Weaver, or they'll pick something that can just kill it. And none of their picks did that. So you suddenly have just been spreading so thin. This Enchantress with impetus, just look at top lane. Like, yeah, they're going to possibly try to go on snaking here, but he's got so much effective HP with his passive as well as the heal. They may be able to bring him down, but he is on top of a creep wave and has the wolf for the bonus damage. I just feel like this is a lot more of a struggle bus than they bargained for, and they're chasing after him. Snaking's not getting any reinforcements. Oh, the power shot is enough, so that's a first step. But that's, meanwhile, they are losing bottom tower, like slowly but surely, and VGJ is set up here. I'd like to see them not allow... I was going to say, I just got to be careful about walking in one at a time, because if you get stunned on by the Ogre, he has level 6 with the maxed out stun, potentially dishing out 360 damage, as you just saw there, 60% multicast. Anyone who gets stunned into arrow, like this is because they were forced to respond to top, right? Like they're diving this Enchantress, or not diving, but chasing him for with 3 heroes for such a long time, and then that leaves you with VGJ set up in the other lanes. Mid lane was getting pressured, so they had to respond to that. You're just getting pulled all over the map.
Yeah, you show the fight recap, and you think the Mirana gets the kill, but as you said, that damage done by the Ogre at the multicast is
360.
Just insane.
So much.
We talked about it a lot, watching Enchantresses play improperly, but Snaking understands his role. I will own the top lane. I will stay in the top lane.
I will keep walking down this top lane.
Bear in mind, like this was a first pick Tiny.
Oh, arrow from behind, but the rest of them are going to come from the front. Sunray won't melt him down. SVG gets the ignite kill. And yeah, that's also just teamwork, right? You trust in your team. You 4 need to own. I will own my lane. You guys need to own your lane. Gonna try to run away, so does dodge the meld strike. But arrow's gonna fly. Oh, the perfect angle by Rezo. Double Starstorm. Will Yawar steal it? No, Rezo says, that's mine. Thank you.
And Tiny first pick into gives away Enchantress, gives away Phoenix. Like, yeah, you can theoretically combo Enchantress and kill it, but you're weaker in the lane, and as we've seen time and time again, it's so difficult for you to, you can't actually stand against an Enchantress at this stage of the game. And what is Tiny if he's not able to contest weak intelligence heroes? threatened kills.
If you're going to pick this Tiny and then it's going to get Enchantress Phoenix, yes, it'll do okay in the early stages, but the minute Enchantress gets 6, it can't occupy this lane anymore. So you had to pick a hero. Something I just come to mind is something like a Wyvern, some support that can just occupy this lane and stop the Enchantress from pushing. Otherwise, if you are forced to be here, then you're going to be forced to do exactly what Serenity's doing, where they have to respond with this many heroes if they want to try to kill them. But
nice fear there. This could have been a terrible fight for Serenity, but PYW with a perfect terrorize. And now Snaking in a little bit of trouble. Guess what? Your passive means nothing right now. He's going to come out at Purge, but it won't matter.
Okay.
A good rotation there from Serenity and a perfectly placed ulti from the Willow.
We've seen this from VGJ.Storm all tournament long, though. They had no intention of contesting that area. That's just SVG and Snaking trying to make space, pressure the map. They force 5 heroes to rotate. In the meantime, 3 of their teammates farming side lanes and pushing towers. They actually don't really lose any gold advantage.
yeah, net worth
was
6K
waves.
before that,
Yep.
6K after that. That's the problem I'm saying. Like when I'm like, you know, they're killing them, but like when you're killing them and they're pushing your 2 tier 1s, Mirana and Tia are absolutely free farming. Mid lane tier 1s dropping super low. This is exactly what VGJ wants. And even if you are killing them, that's like best case scenario for Team Serenity, but that's just showing the holes in the draft that we mentioned, where this is how they have to play, kind of like yesterday when we saw against the Broodmother with Newbie. Like, yeah, they're killing them, but it just doesn't matter, it feels like.
We have a break. Check out the wards real quick. There's one on the top shrine, one on the bottom shrine that SVG's placed. Really cool, very rarely countered, and you can see there's actually sentries placed. There was one on the shrine, like just to the left, that missed it. Very cool wards that give you critical information.
Oh, the dust gets popped. Snaking. He will get the rune, but dying right here isn't the best. He gets the rune, but he's going to lose the other one, and there we go. Serenity's looking, but oh, can this Tiny get out of here is the question. Stun toss onto the creeps, arrow hits, double Starstorm will fall. He's a tanky young man, but it won't be enough. And now they will get this tier 1. Uh-oh, middle. Oh, you hit that shackle. And here we go. He has the Javelin now. Does a ton of damage, but just too hard to melt through this level 14 TA.
I love the Deso first, and I like that Yawar, with building the Deso first, is playing it according to the fact that he built the Deso first, something we harped on. I believe it was Iceberg the other day, who was playing overly aggressive when he had just a Deso. Have to wait till that blink. He's looking to apply pressure mid because he knows that that Team Serenity is spread thin. But don't overextend. As long as you're not dying, you are out farming them, and once you get this blink dagger, you're the strongest hero on the map.
And he has got a little involved, but it's in the course of like the natural flow of his game. You saw him invade enemy ancients a couple times, but for the most part, he's just covering mid-wave and farming in the interim. You don't want to be teleporting or playing side lanes as a TA at this stage. You get the blink first, and then you can go all around the map. In the meantime, his team recognizes this. They're just playing 2 to each side lane and just starving the map. They're now up 8K. There's no real skirmishing going on. They're just getting that 1 kill in a tower. All 3 tier 1s dead. Go Roche.
And you talked about the no skirmishes. MSS has not used an egg yet. It is 6 minutes in, but they haven't had to, right? It's not like he's not using egg. Why are they losing team fights? There's not been team fight. He's going to use his first egg. Your tombstone goes down. It's egg versus tombstone, like you guys said. See you later. I'm dying. A nice terrorize though, but guess what? Rezo dodge and dagger will hit him. It won't matter. PYW drops, and they can just back up and do Roche if they truly want.
Yeah, the team fight's way too strong. You have Ogre buffing 3 cores that all auto attack for their sources of damage, and then the massive team fight of just egg with traps.
Yep. And you talked about this ward gave him vision for that fight, right? Like MSS was not scared to just fire spirit egg right there because of a perfectly placed ward just out of range.
You can see like the tomb just feels
versus
completely
egg,
ineffective. Yeah.
And it usually is, right? You place that anywhere, you win a team fight, not versus egg. So you're a PA. He's going Battle Fury, but this Battle Fury is still a little bit behind. Snaking, though, 2 heroes who don't actually mind untouchable. You see the Blink Strike, extra damage as well as the ulti, but now we have a rotation. It's going to be a full ulti. Tiny on the backside will hit stun toss combo. He does have the Aegis, a little bit of damage being done. They're just trying to get out. They have no egg, and now Rezo, he's got to get out as well, and this might just be a full disengage from the Radiant. But a nice kill on Snaking there, and does have the Maelstrom, so damage output is going to be stronger from Serenity. They just have to find advantageous fights, and that's going to be the tough one. They will find SVG, trying to just make a little space.
You can take that. It's annoying, but in the meantime, cores are covering lanes, and that's one really cool thing about the way VGJ.Storm plays the map. in the time it took Serenity to chase down and kill the Ogre, Yawar TP'd bottom, farmed 2 waves, Rezo pushed out mid to the tier 2. So Serenity has this little window with enemies dead, but they just have to cover their side lanes. So this Willow covering mid, like he's not actually, don't think of it as like him farming this lane, he's catching it. He's relieving the pressure that Resolution already output, who now goes to Ancients.
Yeah, and usually on this hero, don't you just want to use Bedlam, clear creep wave, and get out, but he knows, like, I need this in case someone gets gone, I have to TP. So what's, VSJ, what's this PA's timing now? He's going Battle Fury, is he just, I gotta farm all game now?
I don't see PA's timing, to be honest. Okay. Like, they have to survive to a point where he's not getting bursted by TA, but I feel like TA in this game will just, by the time that PA is ready to fight in terms of enough damage and maybe a BKB, he's just gonna have an MKB or a sheepstick on the TA. I think at least one hero on the side of VGJ will go for an MKB. I wouldn't even mind it being Mirana, has it queued up already after the BKB. If you can make it so PA can't rely on Blur for survivability, I don't see how she ever comes into this game.
And you only need the one MKB, right? I think Mirana is actually the perfect choice. TA, go for any other target. Mirana leaps in, and it doesn't matter what PA buys. BKB, be damned.
Oh, no.
Nice
PYW, a little late on the reaction timing, gets him killed. If you dodge the initial stun from SVG, you might just live there, right? I guess the TA trap is there, but you have a chance of living. And now top, you see ZYD, he's trying to just pressure any lane, relieve stress off the PA more than likely, and doesn't look like he can. Oh, and Earn is gonna get popped. He just get an egg immediately. It looks like the TP out will work. Nice decision making there. But on the backside, it is gonna be, oh, the PA, he missed the arrow and he's just gonna steal the rune. Nice job by Serenity, but now XCJ, he's pulling SVG here. He's like, whatever, I got the runes.
Yeah, I love that play. It's so fast. 4-man TP, leave the TA bottom, let him keep pressuring tier 2,
and smoke
immediately smoke right back to him. It's just...
Oh. Yawar, he's gonna find him. There's a TA trap. Gonna get popped, but look who else coming in. It's the Dark Willow. Can he get this kill? He has the Aegis. He's not too scared. It's an instant kill. He might turn this on him. He is gonna go down once, but look who's here. It's SVG and the rest of them coming. Stun's gonna fly. This Sunray, we've seen so much damage time and time again. What's a skill build? 4 points in it. And now they're gonna soar for double Fire Spirits plus fly.
Dude, it's so smooth. And look top, there's just snaking now pressuring tier 2.
With double siege, triple siege unit.
And Tiny just saw that massive engagement go on at top runes. He's like, yeah, I'm fine. And he ends up dying solo to TA, but he's like, guys, this is a TA solo, come help me. And then by that time, VGJ's already cut the way to bottom, and that's the key to this crucial...
That's so fast.
Yeah,
like, that's not a... You don't expect them to have made it. They traversed the map twice in 30 seconds.
Yeah,
like, it's just...
How long between that rune engagement and that smoke? What, half a second?
And then you look at the hero levels. Yawar 3 now, above the Tiny. Anyone near him on Dire, and then just Rezo, just keeping up with everyone else. And this Undying is only level 8. Like, all of Undying's skills are good. Even though he's played in the 5 role, all 3 of his abilities need to be maxed out. And he only has 1 in Soul Rip. Do you like this? It feels like you.
He is a tomb at this point, though, is the problem. I feel like if you max any of your other abilities, you do just get 2 or 3 shotted by TA and Enchantress. And Mirana, like you die to a single arrow or a stun from Ogre.
It's just the second point decay. I feel like a lot of Undyings have started skipping that. It's only 30 bonus damage and a little more cooldown. 2-second cooldown reduction. It's just not worth the extra point.
It's dead. And the problem is, like, this Tiny... Who's their frontline Serenity? It was supposed to be like Tiny, right? But now Undying's pretty much go in there and absorb some spells, hopefully. And it just feels like they don't have a frontliner versus this BKB now TA.
It's one of those scenarios. It feels like all 3 of their cores like want to play on the outskirts of the fight, but they don't have anything in the middle. As you said, it's not even about like frontlining necessarily. It's more just like who soaks up damage.
Yeah.
Who goes first?
Yeah. They all want to like initiate on a target by itself, but that's not how team fights work.
Yeah. Look at this. They almost engaged. Dude, I'm pretty sure VGJ refuses to not place that ward there. It's been countered 3 times now. Oh, and they're going to get another counter ward. All right. Serenity is winning a little bit of the warding war. Are they? I see 4 sentries top, and yeah, they're looking for snaking. He has 4 creeps right now, by the way. He just keeps re-enchanting these siege units. Now they're going to go for this, and he does have, yeah, a lot of AoE damage, and they're nervous. They just run away, even though it's only Resolution coming. Not the best kill potential, but it's smart. They don't know where anyone's at. They're all playing off map except SVG.
Just go to the bottom lane. They see the ward is getting countered. They know that Serenity is rotating, and look at this. Immediately, they get out of dodge. Resolution will continue to push top. They don't overextend. They just look for advantage. If they get an opportunity, a good chance to capitalize on Serenity out of position, they'll take it. They'll move for a fight. But if not, you're in no hurry.
We've talked about these teams in the past few days where they'll show a core in one lane and they'll be pressuring another lane and they'll continue trying to push and then they just feed because the other team knows you don't have 5 heroes there. In this game, VGJ shows the Mirana top and immediately backs off with their 3 heroes bottom and resets themselves on the map, and suddenly now they're getting an advantageous kill top. Like they went from from top back to bottom, back to top.
And look where TA is. He's still bottom, setting up traps behind tower, looking to just continue killing this tier 2. And this is how you want to play the map. Move around with 3 heroes, plant a core in each side lane, and then don't take that critical engagement unless it's around a real objective. So we saw them use an egg S5 once this game, and it was around that first Roshan.
That was when those like, just come fight us, we dare you.
And you feel like you have to, but it's just, they're just tightening the noose or the vice, whatever you want to call it, and Serenity just feels a little outmatched.
Oh my, the damage output from Resolution. So much, and I know you're going to like this, Kyle. We do have the casual buckler on SVG this game.
TA was forced to TP out of bottom, but they lose a hero middle, 2 heroes.
Deny? Does get it on Tiny. Pretty easy to do that with the big old tree, but it is it's almost 1,000 net worth there. You just deny away from the entire team.
It doesn't hurt that much when you're up by 16k.
True, but anything, I mean, you got to come back somewhere, right?
Yep, they're setting up on this Wind Ranger. They know he's going to be at the rune because it's 25 minutes.
Oh, and here we go. He does get his wind run off. Doesn't have his BKB. It's actually in the bound. He'll have it now, but he does survive. And that's
Spirit Vessel
big.
his TA instead of because the TA blinked on top of the Wind Ranger right when he tried to use it. So a little unfortunate. I don't think they get the kill anyway, but that's always funny how that kind of stuff works. And they can just turn that into a bottom tier 2 pressure. This tower is important to get at some point, just like because it's another objective, but this tower doesn't offer them any more map control on the side of VGJ. Their next objective is the Roche.
Smoked by Serenity, though. Level 12 has a little extra damage, and the Terrorize, it will hit onto the Mirana. On the backside, will stun us. Combo 2 over there. It's going to be a Sunray. Do we have an ulti from MSS? Not quite yet. They're just trying to bring down this Tiny. So much damage done by Resolution. Just right click to right click. They will run to the Shrine, it looks like. Maybe not. They're a little bit nervous of it.
This is why you pick Mirana against Undying. The team invis is so nice because it kills all the zombies if you go invis for even a second. And also you have the innate attack speed from the leap in order to kill the tomb. This is something we didn't mention in the draft, but you're seeing it pay off right there. They all had like 5 zombies, and even if they wouldn't have lost the team fight anyway, they just go invis. All the zombies are gone.
It was only a 1 for 0, right? They bought a little bit of I know they're down 70k, but PA almost to a BKB now, which is nice, right? You kind of just go into a fight. You're not scared for 10 seconds, but I guess you do have to make something happen.
They're already getting Roche on VGJ, though.
Promise.
DD on the TA.
Mirana's going to finish an MKB, and that blacking bar will do absolutely nothing. And that's the benefit of strong itemizations, and specifically the hero Mirana. It's good. I would say the best core in this patch, and something we'll see first 2 often in the main event.
All right. And you just see it. And obviously, you know, it's nice having a friend like SVG with level 4 Bloodlust. With Leap plus Bloodlust, he's going to, I don't even want to know his damage.
You just need Mirana to have that beefy frontliner in the laning stage because that's her only weakness. Aside from that, I can't think of anything.
Dude, look at this
Crimson
ogre.
Guard?
Yeah, he's so,
I love it.
He's so tanky.
It hard counters Undying, Wind Ranger, and PA. Like, they're all attack speed focused. In the case of Undying, obviously, the zombies do 0 damage if you're Crimson Guarded. I have no issue with that one.
Is he just going to hit a solo arrow on ZYD? He sure is. There's the damage. It doesn't matter what you wind run. On the backside now, they've smoked up already. XCJ goes down as well. They know one more was over here. They ping him out. They assume he's over there. He will TP out, but just another nice movement by VGJ.Storm, and they're just slowly rolling over.
Yep. It's too much damage, and they're way too far ahead. Even though it was 16-10, their lead was so great that they had total dominance over the game. It's now 25-10, and their lead has grown from about 8 to 20,000. It's just really
you can't stop it.
We've seen this game script from VGJ.Storm this entire tournament. They know how to close games now. They look like a team that spent the last 4 weeks training very hard for this tournament, and they're playing.
It's paying off.
They did exactly that.
We expressed our displeasure with Team Serenity's draft, and something I didn't even think about until now is they are going multiple MKBs. You have a Wind Ranger. Your 2 cores are a Wind Ranger PA.
Yeah, they're both
They
evasion.
you just get completely annihilated by one item on cores that have no problem building it.
And you last pick this, right? Your last pick is normal. It's 4 or 5 pick normally. Is your playmaker and countered by 2
They're
heroes
4
already
or 5.
saw.
We're Wind Ranger PA.
And they're
Great
the
point.
1-2. Like,
Yeah.
and so like we were mentioning, they only needed 1 MKB for the PA, but the
It's so
MKB
valuable.
it solves 2 heroes problems. So. And they're the 1-2. It's not like these are supports or anything like that. You're not forced to address these supports. You already have your BKBs up, which is plenty enough to deal with the Willow and the Tiny, and even just the Wind Ranger Shackle. But I don't know. It just it all feels like this game was so easy to play for VGJ, and they did it. Like they did exactly what they needed to do. This is their textbook playstyle.
Yep. And we've seen time and time again. It comes down to not you have to be close in a draft to play against VGJ.Storm. Feels like you either have to outdraft them or at least be near. And as you guys talk about, these multiple sorts of evasion, just they're pointless now. Your 4 points in blur, useless at this point.
It's not necessarily that they'd be like close in the draft. You just have to. This is exactly how VGJ plays. None of this is.
And it's
new.
not new, yeah.
Yeah, and so, and we coming from the casters are saying, you know, they're gonna see this, they're gonna have problems with this, and that's just from us watching the games. It's not from us. You know, it's not some secret knowledge about VGJ. They play this similar playstyle every single game.
Oh, smoke up though. Dire needs something here. He doesn't have the whisk of Kraya. He's gonna pop BKB, and now they're gonna turn it around. Tombstone is down. Egg finally drops, and Tiny's gonna be in a little trouble. Do they not have detection? They finally pop it out. XCJ is gonna go down the backside. Tombstone still up though. Tiny is actually as chilled in Shadowblade. They're gonna try to kill the Tombstone as Wisp will TP out, and surprisingly, Serenity, will they get out? Nope, 1 on the backside. Rezo goes down to this
1400
Tiny.
gold.
That's a lot. He can't blink
It's
currently.
the base. Yawar kills
He's
the PA.
killing. Yep, my bad for missing that one, but Tiny barely gets away, so I would say still a 1 fight there from Serenity. Even though your 1 position in PA goes down, you get a lot of gold on this Tiny hero.
Rizzo had cheese there. He really had no reason not to use it.
He died in the toss.
No, he got hit by a tree as he was running away.
He died as he came down to the
Radiant
earth.
are scanning.
No, I'm not doing this with
Are
you right now, Kyle.
Are you criticizing Resolution Beast J? Do you think
He
you could
definitely
do better?
could have cheesed
You
there.
think you could do better? Is that what you're saying?
I'm
You
not
would've lived there?
The problem is he got to the point where he was 8-0 and 9. I have to get there first, and then I would have cheesed.
Oh, middle. Oh, my goodness. Has to use shape. The Sunray's going to get the kill. MSS says, you know what, Yawar? You did most of the work. Let me come secure you an assist, and we're going to be in a good
Top
spot.
lane.
27,000 all of a sudden.
BKB on Enchantress.
Oh, and he pops it early. Oh, my goodness. They don't have the vision. They actually don't know. Well, they do know the Tiny is here because he ran through lane past that ward, and now BYW going for the Terrorize. A nice 4-step away, snaking
At least we're not stuck
with
in
the
a point.
quick fingers.
And you have to pop that BKB that early on snaking because Tiny doesn't give you time to react when he goes on you.
Yep.
So if he knows Tiny's top or even suspects that Tiny might be top, the preemptive BKB really important. And that's whenever you buy these items like BKB, you have to understand why you're buying it. What kind of is it? Are you going to use it reactionarily? Do you have to use it preemptively? And that's why we saw bottom when Rezo was like setting up for their team smoke that he BKB'd before his team even got there. Just knowing that as long as they don't get bursted right at the start of the fight, they're just not going to lose these fights.
Yep.
Especially with a 27k lead.
And so you do have, I'm going to look at the buyback status here, and you've got yeses for most of the Dire heroes here. They're ready to, I mean, they're going to have to defend high ground. That's what the game has come down to. They have a chance. And we've seen VGJ.Storm, they do have trouble pushing high ground against buybacks. They overcommit a lot and they die, but at 30k, they can do that once or twice.
I feel like they just get to a point where they're happy trading lives
heroes.
for buybacks. Because you buy out all your items, and then the gold loss disappears. So it's probably going to be the Scotty Marana and then the Sheepstick on the TA. And then all of a sudden they have this, the Marana won't die to a tiny burst like that ever again. And the TA is capable now of blinking in, BKB hexing the target, and it's going to die. And you're just hard commit.
And here comes Snake King. He's going to just pop BKB again. Has the Ice Ogre armor. Even harder to kill him with that untouchable. XCJ just gets dropped. The trap actually gets the kill from Yawar. Now guess what? They find a PA. He's going to pop BKB. Not that great for Snake King, but it is good for TPing away.
He's going MKB2 on the Enchantress, man.
Oh, they know. The Sentry Ward did show SVG there.
In the meantime, Rezo's just farming bottom, TA pushing out middle. Like, they don't even worry about connecting. They know Snaking's fine.
Yep. And I like Snit. As you said, you know, some heroes that 10-second BKB is Omega important. For now, he's just trying to get away from the burst damage. Like 5-second BKB in this game for Enchantress is fine, right? You're just avoiding the initial.
Yeah, it's all about the window. You really only die to the burst. That's the main issue with the Serenity draft. That team fight's lacking.
Yeah, and you see the team where Yawar actually bought the gem for his team. He could have maybe got Chief Stick, but I'm sure SVG. Come on, man. Just do me a solid here. And he does, yeah, please.
He even has the sheep stick soon anyway with the purchasing that gem, so.
And you see SVG most farmed in a while. A full Crimson Guard. And why is, you were talking about the BSG, why is it so good in this game?
I believe that was actually Kyle, but
Kyle,
the Wind Ranger relies on attacking you a bunch. The Tombstone zombies do no damage.
There you go.
And PA is underwhelming in damage too.
I think it might, because it procs an attack, so.
I have to believe that when you're this far ahead, all you need to do is make it even harder for the enemy team to accomplish their comeback condition. And they need to burst you down, so why not just make your heroes as tanky as possible? The other option could have been something like a pipe, but Tiny's not exactly the scary hero here of them coming back in this game. It's the Wind Ranger PA. That's why they're adjusting with the Crimson Guard, and they're all building MKBs.
MSS. Oh, they see the smoke. They don't know exactly where the Tiny is at. The Vanish is going to go. They do have a sentry there at the Shrine. Oh my goodness, he dies so quickly. Tombstone goes down. They're going to kill him on the backside. He does have his Hex. Perfect egg. They're fighting under a Shrine. The Shrine hasn't even been used. He finally is going to pop, but Resolution doesn't care. PYW fakes out his ulti, but he gets stunned by MSS on the backside. He's going to get arrowed. He is not going to die immediately, but guess what? When you come back, goodbye. No, wait. And
so that... We were praising a lot of the plays we saw earlier yesterday in EG Liquid game. That was a flawless team fight from Rezo.
Flawless.
Yeah. Like perfect the way he positioned. He kills the Undying, leaps to juke the fake cast Willow ulti, while BKBing the Shackle shot, immediately kills Tomb, then kills Tiny, arrows to hit Willow, kills him. Like no wasted moments. Class.
Yeah. In VGJ, I feel like the only concern I have for this team, as we mentioned briefly yesterday, is that when you look at Liquid and these other top teams in their groups, Liquid's just not so formulaic. I feel like VG, excuse me, has like this one play style method of winning, and the only time I've seen them differ from it was yesterday, game 2, where they ran a Wisp Gyro lineup and they got ran over by Newbie. So I just, in the main stage, I hope they can continue to look like this with this playstyle, but I feel like teams are going to figure them out.
Oh, nice Shackle. Hits on 2, but a good 4-step back. He wants to. He's like, please, Rezo, but look at this. The MKBs. Impetus gets dodged, but it won't matter. Resolution gets the kill, and now it's just looking like Serenity is just, let's see if we can last a little bit longer. Will be a nice stun toss combo. He is Crimson Guarded though, avoiding a little bit of damage. On the backside, XTJ goes down. A perfect Sun Ray by MSS. Hello, PA. One meld hit with the sheep, and it's going to be a lot of damage done. Still alive, finally goes down. We might see the G's going, yep, there they are right now. And what a game from VGJ. It's a 36-minute game, but was there ever a moment they weren't in charge of this game?
No, never. Yeah. They won the lanes and they won the game in typical VGJ.Storm fashion.
Yeah, and it's just, what can you do? We know VGJ.Storm, as you said, they do look a little formulaic, like you said, but if you're just playing this well, unless you have a team like Liquid as well, I mean, you're fine playing formulaic versus Serenity. They had no clue how to play against VGJ.Storm.
Yeah, and I saw some, I think it was Wickham tweeted out something. What do these teams have in common? TI5 DC, TI6 Empire, TI8 VGJ.Storm.
I believe you're one TI with.
Wait, yeah, sorry. TI6 DC, TI7 Empire, and VGJ this
Do
year.
I get a guess?
Yeah, you do.
They both made it to TI.
No.
With Resolution.
Yes. And they outperformed expectations significantly. And if there's one guy to bank on when it's TI time, I feel like your boy Roman Votnik is the man. Resolution.
Yep. I was going to say, I think the two people I look at, especially today yesterday, are, Resolution shows up to TI, and SCC always shows up to TI, and so far they both have. And I mean, it's just, this game, it's hard to talk about because it was just VGJ.Storm all game, every day. And what do you want to say with this BSJ? You see the highlights up there. is it just? I think this game was for sure a draft issue, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just one team is performing better than the other, and their strategy lines up better than the other. And we said in the draft we felt like they were playing this we're going to recover and kill these heroes type strat, but that doesn't work if you lose all 3 lanes. And all game it felt like VGJ, even when they were dying, there were always 2 lanes pushed in, always towers taking pressure. Any time that Team Serenity, as you saw there, Enchantress was dead, but they were forced to use 4 heroes. So this tiny, VGJ knows they had 4 heroes top, so this tiny's alone. He's vulnerable. And that just leads to everything being more efficient, fluent for VGJ.
Yeah, and Serenity, we talked about it's not a must win. It was a very, you really badly want that win, but now you go into this, and if you lose this game, you go 0-2 here, you're going to be in a pretty damn bad spot, to say the least.
A pickle.
A pickle, and a big pickle.
Yeah.
Yeah. To your point about they just have it's not even a draft that really looks like it belongs here, for lack of a better way to phrase it. Just the idea that you take a 1-2 that are both based around invasion, like it's just not complex enough. Like that's like a D if Serenity came into this with like a prepped draft. It's not quite like a failing grade, but it's certainly not something that's going to beat one of the top students in class, VGJ.Storm, who have studied hard to prepare.
Yep, they've sat at the front of the class. They're not joking around in the back throwing paper airplanes. They're at the front. They're studying. They're writing down everything. Were you guys good in school?
I was not the guy in front of the class doing exactly what you just described.
I don't know. The problem with public school doesn't really challenge you, you know, especially if you're a guy like Brian Canavan, also known as BSJ.
Yeah, that's me.
He was already being tutored 4 or 5 years above his grade level. How is he supposed to go to middle school and respect his teacher?
Do you feel like Roman feels that way?
Possibly.
He's just like, I'm already getting tutored.
Look at this fight. Look at this fight.
5
So
levels.
well, look at this. Perfect. Look at that BKB. That's a TI BKB right there.
Yeah.
Okay. That is not something that, like, you're not thinking. You're feeling it. Okay. And there's very few cores. The leap away to juke the fear into the air. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy looks like he belongs here every year, and I mean, he was just a stand-in or fill-in, I guess, last year on Empire, and what'd they get, like 8th?
Yeah,
and
BDG,
a team that was expected to kind of just drop out in the bottom 4.
I think they lost to Liquid or VP too, so it wasn't like that team lost, it wasn't like they overperformed. Like they were beating who they were top team.
Yeah, and I just want to say he's like the nicest guy.
Yeah.
In the Dota scene as well. Roman, Resolution we're talking about here. And we mentioned yesterday, these guys just get along. Yeah. They all have passion for the game. Like, I know Snake King, I'm not taking away from anyone I'm not mentioning, but I know Snake King and Resolution, they just care so much about winning. And their complaint about previous teams they've been on, not like specific players in general, is just like, we feel like people don't want to win as badly as we do.
Yeah.
You just say that because... Fun fact, at the summit, you sat behind Rezo as he played some pubs and got like 3 hours of tutelage. Am I right?
I mean,
that's a good word.
That's true.
That guy, I sat behind him, and I'm expecting to just watch a pub because that's what happens when you sit behind somebody. He was talking to me about, this is why I'm doing this. These are some cool things you can do in lane to get a few extra CS. I'm like, okay, but like this is priceless. Yeah. And I didn't ask him.
How much would you pay for his coaching?
I would pay way more than I charge. Yeah, because he's just a guy that he just does all of the little things, and you can tell how much he thinks about the game.
Yeah,
just by listening to him for one pub, and you can tell even just from that BKB usage, it's like he knows exactly why he's doing things, exactly what's going to happen, what to expect, and it's just great to watch. And it's fun to watch these teams that. They're just standing above the rest right now. Like we mentioned, there's nobody that's clearly at the bottom of this tournament, but there's teams that are clearly outperforming the group.
That's a really good segue into something I wanted to talk about during our break in between games.
Cheddar cheese, the bet one. Just kidding. What do you want to talk about?
So, in the history of TI,
yes.
this being the 8th iteration, no team that started in the lower bracket has ever finished higher than 4th place.
For real?
For real.
Are you positively saying
positive.
that? Okay.
I went to the stats man himself. I ventured into his
Which
lair.
one?
Nahaz?
Nahas.
Nahaz.
Okay.
He's pretty smart.
He is. I believe
I
it was, I think, Fnatic at TI6, and somebody did it last year. I can't remember who. But point is, and last year, very important, the 2 top teams from each group were the top 4 teams at TI, right? So this year, it looks like it's going to shape up. We've got EG and Liquid, Group A, coming out on top, and VGJ.Storm and VP in Group B. And I'll be honest, I see those as the top 4 teams in this tournament. So we'll have a repeat?
You think LGD is, I mean, not weak, but weak. I mean, everyone thought they were a top 3 team going in, but now after watching group stage, you're like, they look shaky
Yeah.
compared to everyone else. I mean, their score shows it as well, right? I
Mhm.
believe they are in upper bracket, but it's because everyone else at the lower is just all stuck together, and they are up there. But yeah, that's a little bit. I mean, LGD, right? Everyone's like this. It's the Chinese year. LGD. These guys, they've been destroying majors, and now they're looking a little
Yeah.
rough. But main stage, right? Main stage is even different than group stage. It's
Yeah.
TI, but main stage TI. Oh, the nerves.
That's why it feels like there's every year, I feel like TI5, it was the complexity, right? Made it to the upper bracket.
Yep.
Had, we were like 2 games behind Secret and LGD, but there's an asterisk because you don't know how well they'll play on stage.
TI2 complexity as well.
Yeah.
An old school one.
What do
yeah.
those teams have in common?
Their complexity.
No.
Well, they do.
Well,
What?
they lost.
They lost.
Yeah. TI6 was like DC. They came out, I think, top 2 in their group. They lost to Wings 2-1. They're like, oh, well, they've fallen, but then they ended up making the run all the way to top 2. So it's always unknown how a team that hasn't been at this level for very long will respond to the pressure of TI. But as we've said, VGJ.Storm, they've got resolution.
He's a rock, right? I think him and SVG, like you have the player who's a rock, and you have this coach Cam. I don't think he feels stress. Honestly,
No, I
I've
don't
seen
either.
SVG, and he's just chilling. He is always just chilling.
I don't think he's ever felt stressed.
Yeah,
I
that
mean, we
calm, cool, and collected.
we took you on in the Dota 2 Cornhole Finals.
Yeah.
It was you and CCNC versus me and Avery, aka SVG. And that man was an assassin.
Yeah.
Like, no words, just
Yep.
focus. And he made poor little BSJ look like an amateur.
And
Sorry.
that's maybe harder than it seems. And the one thing I want to say about SVG
Go on.
is this is his first TI captaining, like first TI, and
Just
he-
playing captain. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying and he's a captain.
Yeah. That's nice.
That's captaining at the pro level of Dota. I can't express enough how much you have to consider how many things.
Yeah.
Just things,
Yeah,
and they clearly understand Dota at the highest level.
Yeah,
And it's just he's the guy that we haven't really mentioned him much because in the game plan he's just an ogre, But he's the guy that
Meathead.
created this entire game plan. And the problem with NA, I feel like in the past, has been there's only 1 or 2 stable captains.
it's true.
And
And they're getting kicked from their teams all the time.
yeah,
It's
I
like
feel
you can't
like
even find a spot to settle
yeah,
down.
I feel like this year there's this one tier 4 team I think that kicked their captain.
But moving on,
I'm just kidding.
SVG, he was
I love
coach of
complexity, by the way.
EG for 2 TIs, I
Yes.
want to say.
Yes,
He's got like
correct.
this Aaron Rodgers situation, right? Where you got American analogy. Sorry, folks, but you have
It's an
Brett
American
Favre,
team. We'll let
right?
it go.
Super talented Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yes.
They draft his replacement, but he rides the bench for 3 years.
And he doesn't mind doing it.
Correct, because he comes out in that year and 4, and they're like, "Holy crap, this guy's actually just the best."
Yeah.
Like literally the best. And maybe that's our boy.
Yeah.
The call, like you could see the warding. There were a couple times that this would be a really good game to review if you're a support player you want to check out. At the same time, they weren't perfect wards for like a pub, but in this game you'll see sentries just missed by the 200 units because he's placing them where they give pretty good vision, but they're like that second tier.
Yeah,
as
it's not
far
the
as-
ideal vision.
Exactly.
But that vision's way better than getting a D-warded.
Indeed. So he's just juking sentries the whole time. The calls to smoke, to chase across the map, even possibly like who's playing in which lanes. Like these are all things that your captain outlines, and got to give credit where it's due. Clairvoyance as well.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
And
the
if people
coach of
didn't
the
know,
team.
yeah, he has been a coach. He was coach of TI4 C9. I mean, Clairvoyance,
How do you
he's been.
remember that?
It's, just, yeah, it's up there, but
the
you
stuff
just,
that goes
it's
up in there.
No,
man.
Clairvoyance has been around for a long time. You don't see him. I mean, he was a player for a little
Yeah, he
bit. I
played
believe he
with
was on
EE
Mason.
as
Yeah,
well
that
for a
too.
little bit.
He played on Take 5. That was like Mason's first team. A very smart guy, but that's how you want to be a coach, right? You don't want anything on you. You're like, players, you get all the credit. I just help out a little bit. But now Serenity. Let's get to them. Besides drafting a little bit better, I mean, their smoke usage as well, like you said, VGJ.Storm's very good. It doesn't feel like Serenity is using their smokes to get something done. They're just, it's desperate, right?
Yeah.
And you see that a lot. How do they not do that? I don't know how to word that per se.
Yesterday we saw Newbie against VGJ.Storm, and they got brooded. And it felt like everything Newbie did looked real awkward that entire game, despite the fact that it worked half the time. And in this game, I feel like when you look at those kind of things, it's hard to look past and say, we lost all 3 lanes. Like, other than the fact that we lost all 3 lanes, how do we address our issues? I don't think there's much to analyze past that.
It's a good point, and it's something that makes it, like we've talked about it, off camera, about how difficult it is to not like hype a game that seems to be decided, but to really get in depth about what really is just a simple mistake that turns into a loss.
Yeah.
If you get 10th pick brooded, he can die 3 times and still just beat you with ease. The same in this game where you're outlaned, both of your damage dealing cores are countered by MKB, and you don't have the reach appropriate to deal with the 3-lane pressure that Storm's outputting. You don't even have the ability to win team fights. So if you're outmatched in every capability, strength, size, speed, quickness, whatever, it's like going into an MMA bout against GSP, and it's just BSJ.
Yeah, and man,
I know that was nasty.
That you nailed me there. Honestly, I'll give you that one. The one thing that we've mentioned time and time again that is a great question to ask yourself as a viewer, as someone who's like trying to get better at Dota, whatever your reasoning is I look at both lineups and say, when is this team stronger than the other team? And yesterday we mentioned that Brood game, like even if they kill them a few times, they can never deal with the spiders. And then in the second game, Newbie had the BKB Enigma where they couldn't, or like once he has BKB, they couldn't cancel Hole. And so we were like, yeah, the minute he gets that, they're just going to win every single team fight. And that's what happened. And in this game, as you mentioned, you have this PA Wind Ranger, and by the time they have their items, there's just 2 MKBs.
Yeah.
What point in the game are you stronger than your opponent? And that's the problem with that kind of draft. And unless you win the lanes, but they didn't do that.
Yep. And guess what? We have a draft. Thank you for that. I got one question, Kyle, for you mostly. Tiny. You don't want to see him first picked anymore, right?
No,
okay.
Definitely not. It's just, you know what it is? It's not that the hero's necessarily bad, it's that the stuff getting first dude all beats Tiny. The Venge Weaver, the Ench Phoenix, all these very common openers we see constantly, they just make Tiny look like a bad hero.
Leave him until second round. Yeah. Like, leave it till it's a good Tiny game. Yeah. The hero's good, but he's not like, he's not uncounterable.
And we talk about how he goes to Blink Shadowblade Echo every game, and that's what gives him his nice mid-game timings, but the issue is that's what he has to buy every game. There's really no other way to play Tiny.
Yeah.
So if you need a BKB in a game, like, tough luck. You can't really afford to get one. And although, who would is probably a player like no one, who I've seen go Shadowblade BKB a couple times, much like you're playing a Dragon Knight.
He plays it more like a hard carry, to be honest with you, though. He'll go like AC or Daedalus or Butterfly, something like that.
I think that's something that could be possible, but we just don't see it. But anyway, VGJ.Storm, they have first pick Phoenix. Mirana.
Wow,
I'm fine with that.
Kyle, you said during the main stage, but I think VGJ.Storm like, wow, Rezo, you're pretty good on this hero, and it's not really. Is there any direct counter to Mirana? What's like a good hero?
I like Weaver Venge here.
There's too many, but there's not a way to counter the whole
Just
kit.
That hero, yeah.
Okay, you need something that deals with invis, that has lockdown.
10 seconds remaining.
Nothing. The mindset I employ, where I to play again is, everyone is bad when they're stunned. Okay, if you literally can't press your buttons, it doesn't matter how good at pressing them you are, right? So when you land this Ogre stun into Mirana arrow, at any point you saw the PA get out of position a little bit in the laning phase. All of a sudden he catches an arrow. Now he's dead, and now you're outlaned. You have a farming tool. You utilize Bottle, which is something that a lot of the best cores do, notably Weaver as another, and your leap attack speed, your talents, everything about this hero is fantastic. I'm going to say this all day. And wow, BSJ.
Thank you.
All right.
Goodness gracious.
Because there's a Weaver now, there probably is. Do you think they might just pick Ogre here?
I like Ogre again. I was going to mention that you need a hero that not only sets up arrow, but also can walk in front of you so that they can't just stun you or hit you with the Weaver and the Venge. Because the reason why I like Weaver Venge against Mirana is their ranged harass that can threaten the Mirana and even possibly beat her with trading.
5
So
seconds remaining.
now you need a hero that just enables the Mirana to win that aspect of the lane. And Ogre,
VGJ.Storm.
I think, is the best. But you just they just take the drow.
We
They know it's
forgot
getting
about
banned.
him.
They know it's getting banned second round.
Turn
This is
to
something
Look
we've
at
mentioned. We thought they would. Yeah, Broodmother.
I would put my entire life savings. That PL is the
So
next
$4.
And a Snickers bar.
ban. Whoa. I have a lot more Halloween candy saved up than that.
Wow. It's at least $9 worth of Halloween candy.
Dude, yeah, Kyle, you seem like the kind of guy who would hand out fun-size bar instead of full-size bars at Halloween.
Wow,
I'm
wow.
just saying.
That's,
Sorry,
those are
is that
fighting
insulting?
words,
I'm
Gran
sorry.
Gran. That is messed up.
You sound like you'd be
That
the
is a
guy
low
who'd give
blow.
away paydays instead of Kit Kats.
Oh,
gosh.
no.
Nah, bro. Full size Butterfingers. You know what's funny?
Oh.
When we were at the Cole House in Florida, we went out and we were like, okay, guys, like we're not like rich or anything, but we're flush right now. We're gonna go out to CVS. We're gonna get the
10
good stuff,
seconds
right? We
remaining.
had like big bags of Skittles,
Yeah.
the king
5
size like
seconds remaining.
Reese's and Butterfingers. We're all ready, and we had one group come to our house. We tried to give it away to this group, and they were like, no, we don't want it.
So you were being nice, and no one wanted your kindness.
Correct.
That's crazy.
I mean, it was dark.
So do you eat it all afterwards, or are you guys like just over time?
Team Serenity.
That is something we sealed to the room. No one knows what happened to that king.
I just want to point out, Kyle, that you had no chance of keeping your life
Oh, my
savings there because
goodness.
PL was first round banned.
Thank goodness we didn't shake on it.
You had no
Wow.
chance.
Wow.
You had literally zero chance.
Unless the game got remade. So
Oh.
we'll give you a 0.01% chance, but I don't think they're remaking
Yeah,
the
unless
games.
you can somehow accidentally
I-
ban the same hero
I
twice.
Knew, I knew it was banned. It was banned in the second phase. I didn't say it would be banned. I'm
You said it
saying
would be
that
banned
in-
here.
No. I said it
By
would
the
be
second
banned.
phase?
I said PL would
I
be banned
swear, Kyle.
in the second phase. And in the second phase, PL is banned. It doesn't mean that it had to happen in the second phase. It's just that currently its status is removed
I'm
from the
not gonna
game.
lie, Kyle. You've probably gotten so used to backtracking and trying to cover your own
Exactly.
tracks
Good at
that
it.
you've gotten pretty good at it.
And-
Yeah.
He's convincing me.
Yeah.
Okay, I got one question. Why do you ban... I know SVG is good at Undying, but why do you ban the Undying
seconds
instead of, say,
remaining.
like an Ogre here? Because isn't Ogre good with Drow and Mirana?
5 seconds
I
remaining.
think it's
What's
just
the
because
decision?
they've seen the Drow Undying so much, and it gives them the team fight potential.
Okay.
Like, yeah, Weaver's good against the Tomb, but we've seen SVG just place it on the high ground, and if Weaver's sitting there attacking a Tomb,
And missing, possibly.
yeah, that's 7 hits. He can't go kill enemies. And
hero.
I want to see a hero like conceptually like a brewmaster, something that's supposed to go in first and soak up this damage.
And create chaos.
Yeah,
for
because I
Serenity.
feel like when you're against these drow lineups, you have.
VGJ.Storm's turn.
Well,
I mean, that's not.
that's
That
not
doesn't do
good.
that.
That's not good. Just say it, BSJ.
It's not. It's not good.
And why
Like,
not?
Because Tiny, he has issues when you have 4 ranged heroes. Like, and if he blinks in, his best case scenario, we saw it with EG
Dude, it's
versus the draw lineup yesterday, was he blinks in, maybe combos one hero, and then he
10
just
seconds
dies.
remaining.
because he's a 0 armor hero with 0 agility gain.
5
Yes.
seconds remaining.
I mean, he gets armor with his ult.
Sure.
5,
but he-
right, at level.
Yeah, 5 each
Not
level.
much.
5 each level. But I'm not saying it's. Yeah, you're right. I'm not a fan of this Tiny pick. I feel like some teams have kind of used it almost like a crutch, where it's like we don't know what to pick.
Yeah.
Tiny.
And so we've harped on VGJ for being, predictable and have formulaic.
Team
I don't mind this.
Serenity's
Thinking about
turn
it,
to pick.
love the Phoenix. Yeah.
Yep. Same idea as last game.
Yeah, you're picking the same stuff we've seen over and over, but they're playing Serenity, and it's not really a must-win game. This is a throwaway. Yeah, you want first in your group. You don't want to have to 2-0 VP to guarantee first place, but there's no need to show anything different, and I don't think there's anything you don't want to try stuff against weaker teams.
Yeah.
It just
Ten
What
It's
is that?
misrepresented.
It doesn't. You don't learn anything from that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's hard to
5
get a read
seconds
on what
remaining.
works and what doesn't work. So I prefer them doing exactly what they are doing, saying, look, these heroes are really strong. We're going to abuse them. We're going to collect free wins. And right now, if you look at the 3 heroes from either side, just think about it. Who's going to win team fights? Who has the easier method of dealing damage? And what's going to scale better and farm faster? And the answer is all VGJ.
Yeah.
So Serenity, we've seen some crazier stuff, right? They're one of the only teams who's played Ricky and not support. They've played him in the off lane. Is there any sort of crazy pick you're looking at right now that Serenity would blow VGJ.Storm's mind, like a Huskar, who's not good here, but
I'm ready
someone
for
like
some
that?
Blink Dagger, Dagon, Quap.
You know what would blow their mind?
I would like that too.
Broodmother, because it's banned. And if they could somehow pick it, it'd be an excellent choice. But how will they do
How
it?
can you?
Will they manage to pull it off? We'll see here in the next minute.
Yeah, what happened to that? I mean, in the Chinese qualifiers, right? That's how Serenity got through. They played a lot of Queen of Pain, middle and off lane. And did that hero?
Kind of
Did he just
fell
fall?
off.
Why was
Too
it?
many bad matchups? Like just the meta heroes.
VGJ.Storm.
And another hero that suffers from this whole kiting idea. I don't mind this if it's a 4-position tiny.
Guess like, but VGJ is gonna buy like 3-4 staffs.
Yeah.
And Phoenix, it's all right, but it's the same concept of Ursa Weaver. Yeah, you can kill the egg. That's good.
But you're
But
focused on the egg.
If you kill the egg, as we've seen time and time again, these other ranged
10
heroes of
seconds
VGJ are
remaining.
just hammering into you.
Rezo Visage.
5 seconds
is,
remaining.
You know, when it's a Drow strat, I think you play it with the Snaking Mirana.
So could.
Yeah, I feel like you could just go for the Ogre here, as you said. I think it's just fine. They have other options. They might want something better suited to dealing with the Weaver.
Who would that be?
Mm,
Who's a nice SVG hero? Don't have to press too many buttons so you
Lion.
can make calls. Lion?
Lion's really good here, actually, because you have the Hex CC for the Ursa and the Weaver. You have the Drow aura. So
Might have some lane issues though.
Yeah, but if you can survive that, and you also have a Drow aura, so
A little
I
extra
think
damage.
yeah, I think Lion Mirana, or you just Mirana mid. You put the Lion with like just whatever you end up throwing in the save. We've seen them go Drow mid, which is also something they could get away with here because all 3 of these matchups middle, Drow is fine.
I like Bane a lot here.
I
Why?
just don't think it's necessary. I feel
What's
like
so good about Bane? Sorry.
Just better for the lane, but similar idea to Lion. It's not quite as good, obviously, for the lockdown, but it's similar. It sets up well with the Mirana. I think you need, like, a tanky-ish hero in the lane that prevents them from running at you, but also isn't melee
I'll
because they have an Ursa.
I'll see it. It's a much stronger laner, and it does sort of feel the same. I just like Lion is like the more late game oriented
Team
pick.
Serenity's turn to battle.
Well,
Bane
there's
is
Bane.
the decision. Yeah.
Good job. BSJ, you're on point like an icicle.
Would you agree that they'd probably win this draft with both picks?
If what?
If like Lion, they'd win the draft no matter.
Bane.
Oh, no, yeah. I just thought that with the one problem I saw with Lion is the
Yeah.
potential to
Take
lose
it
your
out.
lanes.
Yeah.
And I just, if you already have the favorable draft, which we
10
believe they do,
seconds
they probably
remaining.
believe they do, just play the safer route in,
Yep.
in
5
between the two.
seconds
Don't give
remaining.
Serenity that potential opening to snowball. And this is just the safer babysitting pick, and I think it fits better with
Yeah.
what we've seen. A lot of, honestly, NA teams do. The VGJs and the EGs are very predicated upon having this babysitting lane support.
No, I agree. I agree with the logic. I think it makes a lot of sense, and it also gives them the freedom to just mess around with their lanes a bit. I think it's going to be a Drow mid.
The Storm Ben,
Yeah.
or the Ven, the
That
Sven
doesn't
Ben.
even make sense though, because you
Where would they put it?
and Brood is banned. Like what? What are they going to do? Core Phoenix now because they're huge Sven fans?
No,
It
it
just-
would be safe lane Sven against the Ursa.
Okay, I got a question, BSJ. You're the one saying. So, say Serenity does put this tiny in the 4 position, like it sounded like you wanted. What's the pick for
10
Serenity that
seconds
just sort
remaining.
of
I-
makes this a game?
I have to see VGJ's last pick
5
because
seconds
We'll
you
let
have
you do
this
that.
you have this Mirana and Drowstrap, but like they haven't really revealed the one hero that their draft is going to focus on, and that's what I mentioned Visage as just because it's VGJ, Drow, Visage. I think you put it mid, but I don't know if it'll fit based like if it can just get counterpicked.
More reach. This is a Storm
turn
pick.
to pick.
You think Storm?
I
I'm
was
fine with
looking
Storm.
at
I don't love Storm, but I think it would like I think if anybody can play Storm, it'd be
Ooh.
VGJ.
Or
Storm.
they could just TA again. It's
Yeah.
also a possibility. It's one of those like I just think they need reach and they want something to like go in first, pretty much. Like they have Drow Mirana, they want to play more of the outskirts of the fight. Phoenix is gonna dive through.
10
Bane is gonna look to
seconds
lock
remaining.
heroes down, but you need that the what is it? What do we call it? The
5
poker,
seconds
the
remaining.
Yeah,
diver, the go get 'em, the entry fragger, whatever you want to call
nuisance,
it.
yeah.
Something that just gets in there.
Chaos
and-
creator.
Exactly. And I think Storm TA. I could see a Puck. The Alchemist ban leads me to believe it could be
A
very
Puck.
likely a Puck.
Oh, Puck.
A Puck.
I'm fine.
Kyle.
Puck is really good
We
here.
have never seen this hero in the history
Team
of this
Serenity's
tournament,
turn to
and it's a
pick.
DK.
That's fine with me. I should have. I
He
should
doesn't
have
really
seen that
get
one
in
coming.
there, right?
No, he does.
He does.
It's a
He-
DK.
Blink DK.
He's a blink initiator.
Okay, I was
Yeah.
just checking.
Now they
you
can
guys
put
didn't mention it.
It's
now
great
they can
synergy.
put Ursa mid though, so they might choose to go for
Offlane DK.
it could be an offlane dual lane Weaver, and then you do you could pick a safe laner here, like a Spectre. Some of the heroes I'm just mentioning heroes that cause drow issues as the game goes on. I'm not saying I love that kind of pick, but I think you have to give yourself a time frame in this game where you're, like we mentioned last draft, like just have a point where you're stronger than VGJ. And I don't like, other than snowballing the lanes, I don't see Team Serenity's way to win this game. And snowballing lanes against a Bane or a Bane Drow lineup, like it's a Drow lineup with a Bane and a DK. I think you have to have a point past the laning stage where you feel really powerful, and
What's it gonna be? Alina.
They just go Lina.
So is it support Tiny or Weaver or Ursa?
Or Lina.
I think
Or Lina.
or
Lina.
I think it's support Tiny.
Yeah, the DK is actually the perfect pick. It does exactly what they need. It's arrow setup, it's initiation, and it's great synergy with the Phoenix. And it obviously also benefits the Drow aura when he's in ranged form. It is the pick. I think they've
done this
got away
before
with, like,
too.
4 or 5 heroes.
Something I didn't think about, but they have done this before, where they just pick the DK. Obviously, doesn't benefit in the laning stage, but to be honest, Drow isn't a hero with the way they reworked her passive. That grants the bonus damage. It's only 10% level 1, and then it's 40% level 4, which really only comes into play once DK's already hit 6.
Yep.
So DK is much better
10
synergy with
seconds
Drow than
remaining.
you would have seen like maybe 2 years ago.
It's just a
5
balanced draft. You look at
seconds
it and it
remaining.
just looks like it's a dank draft.
Yeah.
It's just good. Everything makes sense.
Support Tiny,
They
by the
fill
way.
all the holes.
I
and
like
it is
Serenity's draft better than last game.
True.
So
That
I
is-
think they will have the ability to play Dota this game.
Anything that doesn't involve 2 cores that are countered by the exact same item is
Yeah.
going to be just a higher chance of
Yeah.
victory.
So what does support Tiny do here? What's your goal in the early and mid game? Because you don't
whack
get farm.
the Drow lane.
The
Like, just
issue-
hit her with a
You,
tree.
you don't
Okay.
trade favorably against either of the VGJ.Storm supports. It's one of the issues. Is Tiny's great when you're able to bully, but like if MSS lands Fire Spirits, like you actually can't get an auto attack
You
off
won't
as
even-
Tiny. It's
yeah.
not possible.
I've got a real important question here. Why is it in the drafting phase when you pick, Tiny's just the rock, but when you select your hero, he has a tree?
Because when you grow from the earth itself,
Grandoff.
a tree will arise next to the rock. But when you're just a rock with no soul, as in the player is the soul of the rock,
Okay.
you gain a tree.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you're saying Tiny is an Earthbender?
Yes,
That,
an earthbender and mender.
you know, Grant, I really wasn't sure if you were going to be able to explain that to me in a way that I could understand, but
Yeah.
now I'm ready to
Prepare
delve into this
for
game.
battle.
VGJ versus Team Serenity. Game 2. Team Serenity, they need this win. We mentioned at the start of the series, they were 5-7 coming into this, along with 2 other teams in the group, Optic 4-8. So anyone is in potentially a dire spot to get last place in this group, and that means you're eliminated. You don't even go to the main event.
That
So,
wouldn't be good. That's
yeah.
like the worst case scenario because it's 18 teams, and you're going in. You're like, we just can't be one of those 2. But
Yeah,
now you're on
just
the last
not that
day,
guy.
and it very well could be you. You're nervous because do you think like Serenity? Obviously, you don't just go into a game being like we're out drafted. Do you think in the back of their mind they're like we are out drafted? Do you like what's their mindset? I guess. Do you think?
I don't know.
30 seconds.
What do you think,
to
BSJ?
battle.
This is probably a situation you're
a
much
mindset.
more familiar with than me.
Yeah, I get outdrafted more than you could even fathom. And I feel like last game I was looking at the draft and I don't even see the potential. But this game I feel, hey, if we can get off to a decent start, get a timing on our Ursa where he gets that blink dagger, can threaten these ranged squishy heroes, and before maybe the supports come online with their 6s on VGJ, both supports will be quite powerful, like the Phoenix Egg for team fights, the Bane,
On
Phoenix
an
Rip.
arrow.
Then maybe
Is
we
gonna
can take
hit.
this game.
Yeah, they do get the rune, which is decent. The first blood's gonna come out. Who do they give it to? It'll be Snaking.
That's just 2 cores on the same side of the map. That's such a cool maneuver. He's just going to TP top.
But you do see bounty runes. It's a 3-for-1 exchange, but first blood goes in VGJ.Storm, so they'll have a little bit of gold, and that's just a nice arrow, like you said. And Snaking TP's up top, so it's not like that was even his lane bottom.
Yeah, he doesn't have any mana regen, though, so it's a little awkward in that capacity. But either way, I like those interesting maneuvers level 1. Sometimes you'll see the mid laner participate.
Get the stick.
Yeah, it's just all types of mixing it up to catch the team off guard when you show up at these bounty runes, because it's such an important objective. Mid lane, the wave is already pushed because it got blocked into Yawar's tower. So he is off to a bit of an advantage to start. Already at 4-1.
Oh, sorry about that. Miz that one. It's just going to be Avenge going down.
How did he die?
Miz, I think the biggest thing, not even the Avenge dying, it's this Sentry Ward, right? You say if you're versus a Weaver lane and you get your Sentry Ward uncountered, you just pretty much win the lane, right?
He has 2 sentries on Venge.
So yes,
He's like the core version of Treant Protector. You just need this. You need to win this sentry battle.
And let's see. That's going to be the big thing. The lane is pushing, so they need to find it. And look at MSS, they could tell. He was like trying to guard right here, and there you go.
Oh, he even wave of terror beforehand to make sure he saw it, because he provides vision for a brief second.
It's more about Serenity defending their tier 1s. You know VGJ plays aggressively. If they're able to deal massive tower damage and take out 2 or 3 by the 12-minute mark, I don't think it matters how ahead your other cores are, because they can just out-farm you. So you might feed on the supports as this Ursa with an early blink, but they can't kill objectives. And that's one of the main flaws of the Serenity lineup. No real natural objective taking.
So where is this just going to be lanes for all? Where do you think the first rotation is going to come? Is it the 2-minute rune's already coming in, no one's going. Is it some like a 4-minute haste rune, 4-minute invis rune, or who needs to make the move first?
I mean, Storm will make their moves, but they traditionally just rotate the supports around. Serenity's the ones with all the pressure to make things happen. They're playing a Drow lineup. Like, you have to stay ahead and be able to just hunt them all around the map. If VGJ can play 3 lanes, especially with heroes like Mirana DK, it's just you're just in trouble. Yep. And already, Yawar's doing excellently in the mid lane. They're kind of ahead. They're ahead in CS in all lanes, so no problems here thus far.
How does this middle lane go? Is it just Lina tries to spam out waves and harass, but then Yawar just stays in lane with his aura, or
Pretty much.
aura, passive, sorry.
Lina can out farm if you have a really good showing on the first couple of waves. When you get to this point, like, he's going to get a soul ring and just spam and heal, and Lina can't really pressure.
He's going to buy some raindrops. Yeah. You're not going to be able to harass him down significantly enough. That's a very important part of this lane. Whenever you're against a Lina as a melee hero that's inevitably going to tank those nukes, just buy raindrops. Seems like such an obvious, like, little point, but it ends up mattering a lot.
When look at if they're going to go on top lane, Mirana has 2 leaps up. It's actually still harassing. Has 15 wand charge as well, plus that healing salve, so nothing too crazy. Bottom lane, though, you see this Ursa is going to dive under tower for resolution. Can you get this kill? Oh, he eats the right tree and jukes through, and now he is going to be healing salving through it. This tower doesn't stop, but there's going to be a stun. That's going to cancel Drow Ranger's salve, but now he's in a little bit bad of a position, and well, the Ursa's like, what am I doing now? Instead, top lane, it's going to be a 1-for-1, and Snaking might go down. Has a leap, has the wand, is going to be fine. And resolution's quick thinking. Yeah.
Something really important is when these supports die, and something you can get in the habit of yourself is your core just needs items. So instead of using the courier, they drop them in base. MSS is going to TP out with a salve, tangos, and his Ring of Basilius to finish off the Aquila. And that just makes it so Snaking can continue laning. And that's the one problem is when you kill the support but not the core, which they dive bottom here. Like finishing out because he canceled the salve earlier, as you mentioned. No time to talk about anything. Teams are just killing each other. Already 5 kills at the 4-minute mark.
And that's the thing, right? We've seen these Ursas in laning phase so good. They're going to try to bring down this Weaver, who at least has a bottle as well, XCG. And man, another kill bomb. All right. I'm posting the zone. Kyle, you take over.
All right. We got Drow and Bane, DD on SVG. They're going to land that last hit on Tiny. He's going to go down. There isn't much you can do about that. Rolling up with 130-something damage is the boy Avery.
Yep. And I mean, that's the good thing about Ursa Tiny. They both are fine diving on you, but look at this Weaver. Oh, arrow is going to miss by Snaking. Stun's going to come out. The bugs are going to start eating him. That armor's going to go down. They barely get the Weaver. I'm surprised that attack got off. Going to go. Wave of Terror comes, just going to kill it. MSS in Troll now hits the Fire Spirit, though. Does he have another one? He sure does. He has 2 more. Throws it out. Just hits the creep.
Yeah, notice they have the Sentry Battle 1 again on the side of VGJ. That's why Snaking was able to hit the double Snarfall on the Weaver when he went on him with Sakuchi. And that's just such an important part of this lane whenever you have a Weaver in this patch. And I feel like if you win the Sentry Battle, you win the lane.
Yep. And you see they bring the Sentry back. Why did that attack from Mirana go off? They didn't have vision. I thought it disjoints immediately on Invis, right?
It's a fade time, 0.5 seconds.
A 0.5, okay. Because that Mirana, yeah, that last hit barely gets the kill. They do win the Sentry Battle now, but you see over here, there's no pull camp because of another Sentry Ward placed by MSS. And XCG, he knows. He pings it now. He's like, how much money do I have to spend on these sentries?
Kyle, as a mechanics question, do you know the one invis in the game with no fade time?
I do, but I don't think
Okay.
What about me?
What about Grant? Okay, Grandoff?
I don't know.
Okay.
But thanks for asking me.
You're
Just
welcome.
kidding. What is it?
I know Oracle False Promise Invisibility is.
That is true. I didn't think about that, but that's the talent.
Oh.
But it's the
so
Nyx
it's not
Assassin.
just
Okay,
one.
from level 1 of the
Interesting.
ability.
Okay.
Nyx
So,
Assassin ult does not have a fade time.
what's Shadow Blades? Fade time? Is it the
0.25.
same?
Yeah, 0.25. All of them are between 0.25 and like 0.4.
That's just, it's cool, the interactions, right? Nothing's the same in this game.
Yeah, it matters
No.
because
You have
on
to
those
know.
type of heroes, you
That's
can
why-
tread switch while you're fade timing, so you can like,
Yeah.
you know, int treads while you're using it, and then add your treads before you go invis.
That's what makes this game so difficult, is that there's no real, there's no rules, you know? You just have
Yeah.
to remember all the different...
You remember a rule and then the 40 exceptions to
Yeah,
that rule.
it's like trying to learn to write Chinese versus English.
That was a nice play there
Wake him
by
up.
PYW.
Nice.
It is going to be the wake up though, and he's asleep now. SVG is going to get earth-shocked again. Slowed up, but look who's here. It's MSS at the Shrine. Who would have expected that? Certainly not Serenity. Snake King does go down up top. And look at this, he goes in, but SVG gets the brain stab up. MSS Shrine with that slow turn time to get SVG. They don't. And it's a nice play though, because top lane, right, you know MSS TV'd out, so you do get the killing spree on
Dude,
Snake. That's a lot of gold.
That was
by
so
the way.
smooth from MSS, though. Like, just the way he hit his spells.
Yeah.
Flawless.
You gotta be careful top. He just TP'd back in on Snake King.
Look at
They're
this.
ready.
XCG's
They know he's
coming.
alone because the Phoenix TP
Nice
top.
leap.
So this is good. I mean, I don't want to say
Bottom.
it's good for Serenity, but this Weaver's now level 6 with Shreds, a Bottle, and a Quill. This guy is not starving for farm right now.
Yeah, Lena's doing well too mid.
So Serenity, I mean, even though it's 8-3 lead for VGJ.Storm, the gold, the disparity is very little.
And he's looking to rotate top on Lena behind this Mirana, who only has one leap.
We'll see.
Will he
With the
catch him
phase
here?
boots. Oh, might. Arrow's going to go out. He might have hit the stun. Oh, he barely missed it. Look when it goes out, but doesn't even need the stun. And now I think Serenity just found their new
rotation.
game plan. Let's kill Snake King a lot. Let's
Yes.
not let him just sit in the top lane. like
Identify
he's
the
been
weak
doing.
link. No, I'm kidding. That
That
was a great move by Lena because he nuked in the wave mid and then used the nighttime where the Dragon Knight could not see where he went. It's just, he could be jungling, he could be ganking. You really have no idea, and that's the power of that kind of gank. And you see the raindrops in the pressure mid by Yawar, utilizing that first DK form. Can't do all that much damage, but if you can manage to walk up and poke that tower, usually you try to get that hit off because that damage over time pays off heavy dividends. 100 damage per attack.
Plus the attack itself.
Yeah. And he's just going to keep hitting it because you can tank it up with the armor.
But what about this top tower? They're going to lose it. They don't have a glyph right now. This is going to be a, not free tier 1, but it's going to be a tier 1 getting pushed down. Do they just try to take it right now, or you don't want this to get denied? No,
I
they'll
think you
back
leave
out.
it outside of deny range, which they did. It's at 190 and out of 1600. 160 is when you hit the deny range.
That's
It
good to
looks
know.
like-
A lot of pubs will say it's 150. It is 160.
It used to be
10%.
140. Yeah, it's just 10% of whatever a tower's health is.
So let's do the math. It's 160. You
Yeah,
take the 0
damn.
away, and then you carry the 0.
Yep, exactly.
And this is going to be a 3-man rotation. Not rotation. It's going to be 3 heroes up top. And look at this. The Earth is going to run with phase boot.
Wow.
They get denied Mirana, and that hurts. You just committed an extra hero, and you missed
That's
an
completely worth. You're farming 2 other lanes.
And the Ursa's going to get spotted out here. This is going to be a max range air. Well, it doesn't look like max, but 3 to 4 seconds will hit, and you get the extra gold with the Starstorm. That will be a kill. SVG gets it. Oh, the Gust
he
Gordy
doing?
in time.
He knows the Bane Mirana were there to deny the tower. They both revealed
Dyer's still
themselves.
invis.
But I'm saying they both revealed themselves to hit the tower.
No, but I'm saying, like, they were still invis, and he's farming the neutral camp.
So you're agreeing with me. What is
Yes.
he doing there? Okay, just making sure. And they knew that ward was there, so they get the D ward as well. And SVG, who has level 6 and 2 smokes, I'm sure they're going to try to make something happen, possibly in the mid lane around their DK, who has his ultimate, or DK can just come to them. That works too. I think they should collapse on one lane or the other with this 6.
So what? So why do you get drums sometimes on DK instead of, say, a Blink Shadow Blade? Like, what's the point of this drums?
Attack speed value on all your Drow War heroes.
Yep. And there's no reason, like, you don't need to rush Blink in a game like this, and there's so much value on drums when you have all these right clickers. And I love the wording once again from SVG. They just protect this bottom lane so well. MSS is going to juke out this gank because he had pure, like, full vision of this Weaver teleporting in. Ward will fade now, but he's He's done his job.
And then you see MSS. He does have the bugs on him. There very well could be a dive here. Weaver wants to go. Oh, and he goes the correct way. Tree throw will help secure this. It looks like, yeah. Nice kill by Weaver. Like you said, it was good warding.
Drought or catapults, though, top.
Crash comes out, but Snake King, he's going Dragonlance here middle. ZYD, he's only a little experience behind the DK, but the Lina can never leave this mid lane or you lose your tier 1, right? That's the problem.
Yep, it locks you down. Basically, like you said, you're constantly responsible for babysitting your own tower. And the nice thing is he's a hero that can just nuke out the wave as he is, but he's jungling on top of a ward now, so they are aware of where 2 of the core killers of Team Serenity are, which allows them to put as much pressure on the other lanes. Yeah, exactly. Even just mid lane. Like, Yawar is just doesn't have any creeps, so doesn't need them.
Well, so I do like the Ursa's build. I actually like, besides yesterday when we saw the Ursa go 0-1, I like Max or Shock almost always. BSJ as the Ursa player on usually most of your teams. What are your thoughts on just builds?
I like at least 2 points in Urshock for the lane, and it just depends on matching up your max Fury swipes and as many points in overpower as possible for your blink timing. So now I don't like the 4th point in Urshock here. I feel like you're working on your blink, and by the time you get it, you need to be having enough damage in your volley of attacks to make your blink a kill. But either way, I think maxed Earthshock, it doesn't go up in mana cost, but it's just making sure that you have the threat with the blink.
It's always value. Like, you can, I think 3 points. I think Blink is a very similar hero like Ursa. You want all of your spells to have those bonus points. And I think 3 points, Earthshock is not like 3 points
Radiant's
Arrow.
Bottom tower is under
and you
attack.
can get away with like 3-3-3 or 2-3-3 build.
You can.
Shadows are going to take us.
Very variant on his skill build.
Dude, this ward so good by Serenity. We talk about VGJ wars, but Serenity, they scout this whole thing. Can they even bring down MSS? It doesn't look like he's actually going to afford. He's going to hit double Fire Spirits. They can't go on this egg now. See you later, PYW, and now the sleep will set up the egg stun as well, and they're going to give the kill to SVG. And
Lina is hitting mid, though,
yeah,
so
that's good.
It's kind of the opposite of last game, but instead, Serenity's not up by 5K while they're doing this.
And what? That felt like it was going to be a good, like, they have the ward that scouts them out, so they knew the Mirana ulti was there. They did not expect 5 heroes from VGJ.Storm, it doesn't look like.
And I love the rotations already. SVG diving behind tower. He got the grip, but it gets canceled.
That was a sick Lina stun.
Arrow?
Oh, barely made it. It will get him the tower, but a nice kill. It's on SVG who had a killing spree, 350 gold, and the ZYD Yules instead of Shadowblade. Why is that?
You go Yules first.
Always?
It's just the farming enabler as well as initiation.
And
Like, it gives you a little bit of both. The Shadowblade's usually only when you only care about getting kills and you're in desperate need of a kill. The Ursa, during that whole time, was farming his Blink Dagger top, is about 600 gold off. That's a pretty important part of the game plan kit for Team Serenity, just because they need that guy to start the fights for them, to enable the Lina as well as the Weaver. And he has 3 leaps top, so I can't imagine he's an actual threat here. But the Tiny here, just to make sure Ursa feels safe to be aggressive, but he immediately TPs out.
How often do we see VGJ.Storm do this, though? I mean, you put Snake King in the top lane, or the off lane rather, you kill the tower, and he just plants himself there for the next 10 to 15 minutes as his team farms the map.
And Yawar's using his ultimate in order to farm. He gets that bonus damage as well as splash damage. They find the Tiny. Does he have Fiend's Grip? No, still on cooldown, but that's just a 4-position Tiny. Should have no problem finishing him off. As I say that,
MSS will help.
Okay. Meanwhile, though, bottom lane, Serenity is doing a good job of applying tower pressure while these people are dying, but also top lane.
This feels like the one like little village after they took all the food, as VGJ.Storm like retreats over to Helm's Deep to fight battles there.
I got you.
It's just left for them. It's not actually going to change the way this map is laid out. I mean, look at where they're playing. Look at where the Roche pit is and where Serenity is forced to play. This is very methodical from VGJ. They do this on purpose. They're camping the shrine and saying, look, you can take our tier 1. We're going to take tier 2 as Rezo's continuing to accelerate. And our next play is just Roche when we pick off one of you guys.
Yeah.
So this Weaver is reasonably farmed. I mean, the most farmed in the game net worth-wise is going stat items. You got Dragonlance, Aquila, Treads, and now going Maelstrom. When When will this hero be a team fighter? Is it the Maelstrom?
No.
No?
He needs
A lot.
BKB plus
A
something.
damage item.
That's part of the reason you can get away with Drow in the opener, even if it weren't Storm. Weaver has a very hard time playing against him because this maximum 6-second silence. Like, you're just dead if you catch that as Weaver, because it gives you the knockback that persists through your Scoochie. So
And
it's effectively a
BKB
stun on you.
And BKB also doesn't make you be able to walk into the fight.
Yeah.
I guess because you can just get right click down.
Yeah.
You'll eventually
Low
have the time
HP,
lapse
low strength
defensively.
gain.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you see, that was actually, it looked like a strange VGJ Marana ulti.
Oh,
They
double
showed it
smoke.
in vision, but now they're going to go back, and MSS does have his ulti up there. Very well could just be a
need to place a
crazy
ward.
fight. Whoa, hey!
They smoked
say-
at nighttime with no ward on the side of Team Serenity, so even if they got their smoke popped, how are they expecting? Smoke pop range is 1075, and you only see 800 range, so when your smoke breaks, you have no idea where it broke from.
Oh, could they find this Weaver? He's stuck in a rock, between a rock and a hard place. He's actually going to bottle up the illusion, and they know he's still somewhere. Oh, going to get the stun up. We're going to have an arrow. Won't be the longest stun, but the gust will definitely help, and they're already in Roche, but they want to move forward. A sleep's going to come out. It's going to be on this Tiny. It's a support Tiny, but will die. Fiend's Grip from the low ground on SVG. The swap back doesn't cancel that. It's now going to be a 4 for 0 for VGJ, and that one ward, as you said, up on the hill, gives them everything they need in this Sentry. Look at, just barely misses it, but barely, that's all you need if you're VGJ.Storm.
It's all part of the plan. They get the tier 1 earlier, then they rotate. They get the tier 1 mid, they get the tier 2 top to trade for the tier 1 bottom. They place Vision, they play around Roche, they smoke.
Migrate bottom.
Serenity has to, like, contest Roche, right? You can't give it up for free, but they're just completely outmatched and outplayed.
And now they're going to migrate their way to the bottom lane after this Roche pit, almost certainly.
Tier 2 mid.
I'm
first.
saying, yeah, you pressure mid, you have top lane already pushed in, and you're just going to send one hero bottom, usually the one with the Aegis, but in this case it's the Drow, so it's probably going to be the Marana if I had to guess. But it's, like you said, after tier 2 mid, no reason to, like, just methodically shut down Team Serenity by taking objective one after the other.
I know when they first postured, they smoked without Rezo. He was just farming jungle while that happened, and then like walked over, got there in time for the team fight. But it's just, it seems so easy.
Oh, here we go. Double Earthshock will hit. Rezo taking a lot of damage. Does have the Aegis. Is going to go in Biz now trying to run. There is a Sentry ward by both teams down. Does MSS have the egg? Still does. Rezo just turns around and squares up. This egg is going to go down and force them to focus. It's a 1-for-1 somewhere on the back line. Snake King versus ZYD. ZYD is going to win that. Rezo will come back alive. SVG still stuck in there. Stun will hit. See you later, SVG. Weaver taking so much damage. Will they get him? They do. Stun comes out on DK. Can you continue fighting? No, because VGJ, they're just going to pop a lot of buybacks, and now they know PYW is there on the low ground, and now the percentage-based damage from MSS. Nice stun will slow it down, but he dies, and Rezo with the triple kill plus the middle tower. 2 buybacks guarantees him a 1 fight.
What have we seen as the common factor between the 2 teams in the top of their group?
Good buybacks.
Buybacks.
Fast buybacks.
Fast.
You
On
don't
the
ever,
offensive.
Oh, and another one. Can they get ZYD? Has an arcane rune. Doesn't
Arrow?
want to lose it. The arrow, he jukes it, but he jukes back into the DK stun, and now damage is too much. A pause
Yeah, I
by
saw
Drow.
Yawar just go AFK, so I assume that's what's happening here.
And that was, like you said, that looked like a great fight for Serenity. Like they come in, they get a 2-man Earthshock. They almost kill Rezo. I mean, he did have the Aegis, but if you kill him back by the tier 2, like right here.
Watch this Shadow Amulet. Little hesitation. That's a TI move right there. Because he knows the sentry's coming out, but he gets that little hesitation to stop the Ursus chase and to die. Like, you lose targeting. And
He forced him to chase him about 300 units farther.
exactly. And in the meantime, then MSS pops that egg. Yeah, he dies, but he was
makes
dead
him
anyway.
focus.
And it then gives him an extra 5 hits of health.
Yeah.
And it's just these little details. And as VSJ already brought up, the buybacks without much.
No hesitation.
Yeah.
Those buybacks lead to getting 2 kills
And a
on
tower.
crucial targets, a tower tier 1 bottom, and the tier 2 mid.
Yep.
And they're setting up for the tier 2 bottom. It's just map control. It's map control kills. Like, they only gained 1K net worth because they bought back over the course of that entire thing. But look at the map. If you look at the map after the Roche to now, it's
And
just so much
to
more
your-
in favor of VGJ.
To your point, it's also that the buybacks are used offensively, which is
yeah.
a hell of a lot more effective than defensive buybacks.
Radiant's middle
Because
tower
if you're
is
on the
under
back
attack.
foot already and you buy back, the enemy team is the one making you make this move. And they can always just back away. You've now squandered your gold. But if you're on the aggressive and you buy, it's just it's so low risk as well.
Yep,
Serenity.
They
are
run
smoked
through
up.
They run through the scan.
Yep.
They scanned immediately. They know the
Look at
smoke gank is
positioning.
coming.
No DK form for 20 seconds.
Do
That
you
was part of
just-
the reason that last fight was difficult.
Do you just hide in the trees here and you want to take a fight if
Oh,
you're
for sure.
Radiant, right?
But you want DK form.
Yep. And there we go. They're going to jump forward. They're all here, though. The Nightmare's going to come out. It is going to be a toss in on CYD. I don't think you wanted to toss that young man in. And now they're just going to go in, and this might just be a 5-for-0. Can the Weaver find anyone? No. He's going to try to kill the egg on the backside. Can the Weaver do it alone? No. He's going to have to run. That might stun him. It does. They know he's over there. The dust gets popped. The toss in on Lena was a little suspect.
The DK doesn't have DK form.
And you get
You
what?
don't target him. You don't toss your friend in.
Did they think he was alone? Like, because I mean, we saw the scan, right? A perfect scan by VGJ.Storm. They're like, maybe this DK's alone, everyone's left, but guess what? The Goon Squad comes out from the jungle, and you're just dead. A 5-for-0 plus a tier 2, and Serenity
Snaking's
looked a
already
little bit
running
better.
top
he already
during this
got
time.
both bounty runes, bro.
Yeah, that's a huge deal that they get all of these extra little things when you get
Yeah.
kills. The important part about these kills, and competitive especially, but applies in all of Dota, is how much you get done while they're dead.
And to your point, I think you really can see the prep that VGJ.Storm has done. Like, they have played a lot of Dota, and a lot of these these little things. He leaps the stun.
How did he know
How did
that?
he-
I think
that
he's
was
still
reaction.
dead, but good reaction.
He's
He
fine.
leaps in now. The wave of terror gets him. Oh, Lord!
He's
they
got
do
to,
not
you
like
got to
him.
give him the benefit of the doubt that he might just, if he actually lived there, me saying he's fine would have looked really cool.
Yeah.
But he didn't.
But he didn't.
Nice.
So I just look how I normally do.
Like, you see teams, like, not using their buybacks, not going for bounty runes, not, like, they make these plays, but it seems like they have to think about it,
Yeah.
right? It's all instinct for VGJ.Storm, and you can tell just how fast they play. It reminds me of Liquid in a lot of ways, although
Their play style, yeah, a lot. I mean, draft-wise, a lot different, but play styles, you definitely can watch some of these teams, and you're like,
Well,
they do
dude,
very similar things.
they're very similar to Liquid, though, if you think
They
about
are.
it. A very, confident yet quiet and reserved captain. Playmaking, super talented, and attractive 4-player. Off-laners that started in the pub scene and just grind games non-stop, snaking in a mind control.
Yep,
The mid players, tons of talent. And I'd say Yawar and Matumberman, then Rezo and Miracle are probably more closely
like that.
related. But
And they do
I would
swap
say
roles often, yeah.
if there's anyone that turns up for TI that isn't Miracle or Surmel, it's got to be Rezo.
Well, here we go. A very aggressive ulti, a hasted DK with ulti. Shadowbladed up. This is Lena. Oh, if you weren't Shadowbladed there, you're dead. They're looking. They're going to go. The arrow is going to hit. Oh, my goodness. Resolution, please. On the backside as well. They can't even kill Yawar. He's going to get the egg uphill on the backside. See you later. Venge the grip on Ursa. Now it is just a massacre on the side of Serenity. I don't think they've killed a hero in the last 3 fights.
I don't
They
either.
they can't do it this. I mean, and now you're so far ahead. Here we go, as you said, the buyback, but it's defensive. It doesn't feel like you're going to get too much out of this, and it's an Ursa. He can't just jump in. And here we go, the full heal on the creeps and his team. He's just kind of melting some stuff. It is going to be a stun DK, though. You don't want to commit a Laguna Blade.
You don't even have it.
Yep. That helps as well.
Yeah. In
This
case
is
you were
melee.
debating whether or not you wanted to.
He does just jump in, though, but the stun's going to come out the gust. The damage is going to be out there once the ulti wears off, which will be now, and that's a dieback for the Ursa. It looks like Serenity is holding on to their last life in this game right now because VGJ.Storm is playing out of their mind currently. Whoa, Weaver.
Like, I love that they're all business. There is no staying too late or
They
diving
have the
to your
sentry.
force.
This is a kill. Oh my goodness.
That
this
is a dire sentry, by the way.
No,
Oh,
this
no,
one.
it's this Radiant one. Oh, wow, I didn't even notice that.
Yep.
Don't worry, that's why I'm here.
All
baby.
Yeah.
business. They're putting in work. No time for games. Dive in tier 3s, dive in tier 4s.
Don't get complacent,
Yeah,
ever.
it's not about fantasy points. It's about dollars.
Yep.
TI dollars.
Dire's bottom shrine.
And respect. You think going into this VGJ.Storm, Liquid and VP were really like, one of our challenges is going to be this NA team,
Yeah. What do
VGJ.Storm.
you mean? They were the best team in North America.
They
for
were,
like 3
but
months.
do you think VP, LGD, and Liquid were like, we got to watch out for this team
They should've.
beforehand?
I watched the
Maybe.
qualifiers. NA qualifiers were by far the best Dota being played. And this tournament proves that, hey, it was the best Dota.
Minus
Keep in
maybe
mind,
Optic
you
on
had
the
two
bottom.
massive teams that didn't even get a chance to make this tournament. Complexity Gaming and Immortals.
Yeah. And Immortals,
And
one of
Leviathan.
the, yeah. Don't forget about that. Immortals
even
was,
keep a
remember
straight
Immortals was only 1 series away. People forget from qualifying.
Mhm.
They were very close. Arrow.
Whoa.
Oh.
Ooh.
Everyone, calm down. I am. So I'm gonna look at the hero tab, right? The hero level tab. If you look at that, if you're rooting for the Dire squad right now, you just feel bad. MSS is higher than any core.
Of course, he's a bird. He's Phoenix. He can
He's
fly.
soaring above the haters right now.
Exactly.
And
Oh.
they're going.
And
they've
Snake
done
King
this
just breaks
before.
the smoke. He's sitting on the high ground. We've seen this.
Oh,
We
he
saw
spins around.
Resolution yesterday sitting in the trees on Brood.
Look at the damage.
Ursa's gonna go in
Look
on the
at the
backside
damage.
though. Yeah,
Tiny.
he's gonna be able to solo kill Tiny. He sure does on the backside. They're gonna slow down with his level 3 Dragon Form on the DK on the backside.
He's got
Weaver's
Blink.
looking. Weaver wants to kill MSS. He's just gonna go uphill instead of using his egg. What a smart play. On the other side, it's gonna be Ursa, and he's more than likely to go down here. Ulti's gonna wear off. We see the Weaver die as well. 2 uphill misses though. Will save the Ursa over here. SVG gets a solo kill on ZYD on the Lina. And there was like 4 fights there. It was like 1v1s all over, and a Bane beats, and there's the GG just gets called. I don't even know what to say. Well, I do know what to say about this game. VGJ.Storm equals good.
True.
And Serenity, they looked, it's weird. This game was quicker, but the laning phase actually looked better for Serenity. But then, I mean,
they had real heroes this time. Like
Yeah.
they didn't have win range or PA, which we don't see very often for a reason.
yeah. BSJ, I know you like seeing Ursa, and it was like an offlane carry Ursa. Why wasn't this Ursa like good in this game, for this game, I should say? Sorry.
So I like seeing Ursa when I feel like I look at the Ursa and say, he's going to buy a Blink, he's going to buy like a BKB and a Basher, and he's going to kill some people. But that was yesterday when we saw Liquid.
Yeah.
Today, it looks like you see this Drow lineup who's naturally going to build at least 1 Hurricane Pike. They have instant disable on the DK. Obviously, it was picked after the Ursa, but they have all this crap like the Phoenix Egg that you're just having to concern yourself with. A silence before your ultimate. Ursa's annoying to play against silences. Yesterday, it was picked into a Wisp Necro CM. You're going to get your ultimate off, but in this game, you're against a Drow, a Bane, a DK. Like these type of heroes that just it just doesn't. I don't like playing Ursa in those games. You're gonna have to ult preemptively, and then they're gonna force staff, and then
Like
they're
we
just
saw,
gonna and that's exactly what's gonna happen over and over again in these type of Ursa games. And it's the little things that separate these teams. Like VGJ, I mentioned it in the game, and you can't smoke at nighttime without a ward. You're never going to see VGJ do that, and you saw Team Serenity do it here because you just can't see anything, and they won the Vision Battle,
Dude,
won Roche.
This was like the coolest play from the early game. As you said,
The
the lanes
TP
aren't
from
going the
MSS.
greatest, but if you're going to TP it in this patch, you need to have it work like this, where you get the counter gank, you save your ally, and then you find the
Shrine.
2 kills, and as you said, it's like, oh, thanks, Serenity. Look at where you've taken us. We will shrine up to full, and then Phoenix is free to just walk back to whatever lane he prefers.
This
to be
followed
in.
the smoke where they had no ward.
Yeah,
and then VGJ did.
I want to go back, though, that first play. It was nice, though. Serenity does get that kill on Snake King. They see MSS show up bottom. They're like, we got to make something out of it. So even though they lost 2 bottom, they do get a big kill on Snake
Look
King.
at that positioning by SVG to get that grip on the Lina.
Yeah.
He can't even cancel it with swap because you can't even see him.
And it's all like his own play because he set it up at the ward. As you see, like that little stutter step from Rezo.
The
hit him with
egg,
the
you
shake
know,
and
is going to
bake.
die. Yeah, this is just
He actually
very good team
disjoints
fight.
the Venge stun with the egg. So he's just
wasting ability.
Exactly. Waste abilities, waste the time, and just it's a team game. It doesn't matter if you die. It's all about the manner of your death.
Yeah. And we are I don't know what you can do right now. VGJ.Storm versus Serenity. It was such a good game by VGJ.Storm. They just don't know what really Serenity could do besides out of the drafting phase.
It feels like drafting plays a huge role in the top teams right now. Like, I think if you look at the teams winning, they're the ones with the most solid lineups. And Serenity, for lack of a better word, like their lineups just don't have that extra depth. Like, it just feels like it's a pub game and people are picking heroes. There's no natural synergy. Whereas you look at VGJ and I always try and visualize a lineup to like in a formation, right? Like, how are you going to approach these fights? Who's going to be the centerpiece, the star, or rather in the star formation? And I just see Serenity playing with like tiny, like all their cores. None of them can really fully commit. They're just trying to find fights on the outskirts. They're all having a very difficult time dealing with 4 staff. And again, the VGJ.Storm team fight. Look at that. The full Bane grip with an egg on top. Like, what do you do?
VGJ Drow, like in the last 3 months, I feel like it's like 20-0 or something. Like they just don't lose with this hero. And it's like we said with these type of lineups, if you have a team that revolves around one hero, it's not just that one player who knows how to play it. It's the entire team understanding its power, what they're supposed to do with it. They immediately smoke out of like engagements. They immediately go into like take fights around Roche. They just know what the lineup's supposed to do. And that continuity is what it takes to be a TI contender. And this is a team that has just nothing but impressed me over the last 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough. I mean, these last 3 team fights were just all VGJ.Storm. They didn't even lose a hero. They just played it so perfectly. And even right there, right? MSS had the egg. He could have used it, but he's like, nah, I'll just be low HP, fly up the hill, not waste egg. I mean, the game was over, but still just those little bit of things.
And just their target selection is excellent as well, even just the way they position in team fights. But part of that is because they obviously trust one another, and there's a lot of little, it's the little things that they do right that demonstrate, they've put enough time in that they don't need to waste time communicating on the little details. They're focused on the big moves, and it's just excellent to watch. And I think if they continue to draft and play this way, then they have a really good chance of not just making a run in the upper bracket, but really contesting to win the Aegis. I think that if this is a team was one of the dark horses I would have coming into the event, and they're showing like, hey, they won a minor, they were second at a major, they dominated the NA qualifiers. When has this roster not shown that? When have they faltered?
Yeah.
The Summit, they didn't practice, and they said they, I can attest, like they really weren't trying that.
They were picking techies.
They were picking techies.
Yeah. So, if anything tells you that all you're trying to do is, have some fun, maybe trying